A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Chief Cody, rookie fireman Tim Collins, and his brother Jimmy at the scene of the 5th mysterious and unexplained fire to strike in Chief Cody's district in 4 days. This strange and baffling series of blazes is beginning to worry the chief, who has finally come to the conclusion that they must be caused by a firebug, although the nature of the fires doesn't quite point to an arsonist. We'll learn the next exciting development in the mystery right after this important message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the scene of the most recent mystery fire, the 5th in a series that has Chief Cody baffled as he has seldom been in all the long years of his firefighting experience. As you remember, he has just made a thorough investigation of what remains of the porch roof of the Tupper home to see what clues, if any, may tell him who or what started the fire. As he climbs down from the roof, he says to Tim and Jimmy,
Oh, it just doesn't add up.
No clues, Chief?
Not a suggestion of a clue. In all my experience, I've never run up against anything like it.
But, sir, something is causing these fires. They can't just suddenly appear from nowhere.
You're right, sir. Every fire has a cause. The big problem is to find out what it is.
Oh, what about this firebug theory of yours, Chief?
Well, it may be, but still it doesn't look right for a firebug's job.
Yes, sir, you mean a firebug usually leaves his trademark, certainly.
That's right. An arsonist will usually start his fires the same way. And sooner or later, he'll slip up and leave some evidence. An oil can, a greasy rag.
Chief.
Yes, Tim?
Sir, I know this may sound crazy, but...
Well, spill it, son.
Well, sir, I think I could find out what's causing these fires, sir.
You, Tim?
Yes, sir.
Arson squad's been on the case for days. Hasn't turned up anything. Why do you...
I don't know. I just feel there must be something, some small clue that's been overlooked, and if you...
Well, maybe it's not such a bad idea. Yeah, maybe that's what's needed. A fresh point of view. New approach.
Yes, sir. I'd sure like a try at it, sir.
All right. You asked for it. As of today, you are detached from the rescue company for temporary duty as special investigator. Reporting to me.
Oh, that suits me fine, Chief.
Chief, I'm a regular fire detective, huh?
I suppose you might call it that, Jimmy. And if your brother Tim can find the culprit in this series of fires, he'll win my undying gratitude.
Well, sir, I'll do my best. Can I begin right now?
Sooner the better. Any ideas?
Well, I thought I might start with the fire you had earlier in the day.
The Riley fire over on Sanborn Drive.
Yes, sir.
Any idea what you're going to look for?
Well, not exactly.
Well, never mind. I won't bother you with questions. It's your assignment, and I'll let you conduct it in your own way.
Thanks, Chief.
But let me warn you, you're up against a baffler. 5 fires, origin unknown. And I'm counting on you, Tim, to get to the bottom of this.
Taking Jimmy with him, Tim sets out on what is perhaps the biggest job he's had with the fire department, solving the mystery of the unexplained fires. His first call is at the Riley home, scene of the mysterious bedroom fire. He knocks at the front door.
What do you think you'll find, Tim?
All right now, Jimmy, I haven't the slightest idea. I'm just going to look and ask questions and hope something comes to light.
How do you do? Well, what's this, the fire department again?
Mrs. Riley?
Yes. I thought I was rid of the lot of you this morning. Come traipsing through my house with your dirty boots, 10 or 20 of you. And after I've been cleaning all morning and polishing the floors.
Mrs. Riley, you did have a fire, didn't you, in the bedroom, I believe?
Well, sure. Destroyed from ceiling to floor.
Yes, ma'am. The fire department did put the fire out, didn't it?
Well, sure. But the mud they truck in. It's a crime.
Or you'd have them take their boots off before coming in, Mrs. Riley?
Well...
Or carefully wipe them on the doormat while all the time your bedroom is burning?
I see what you're driving at, young man. They did do a fine job of putting out the fire.
Yes, ma'am. You've got to expect a little inconvenience, Mrs. Riley, when you have a fire. After all, a fireman's job is to fight fires, not pay social calls.
Well, you're right, my boy. And I'm truly grateful to you, gentlemen, for putting out the fire. Now, what brings you back? Did you forget your ladders or something?
The fire department does not forget its ladders, Mrs. Riley. I'm here on a little investigation.
We'd like to look over the room that burned. My, they start 'em young in the fire department. You an investigator too, my boy?
This is my young brother, Jimmy, Mrs. Riley. He's just along for the excitement.
Excitement? Well, we had that all right this morning. But now there's nothing but a burnt-out room.
Well, I'd like to take a look at that, Mrs. Riley. As I understand it, you have no idea how the blaze started.
Not the slightest. I was down in the basement washing out some things for Jim. Jim's my husband. He works in the railway shop.
And the first thing you knew, the whole room was on fire.
Well, how did you know?
Well, I read the report. Could we see the room?
Well, surely. Now, come right in. But now, mind you, don't you track up my floors.
Shown to the fire-damaged room, Tim and Jimmy carefully go over every inch of it, looking for some small telltale clue, something that will shed a ray of light on the origin of the blaze. And then, after further questioning Mrs. Riley and learning nothing more than that Jim, her husband, has worked 19 years in the railroad shops, Tim and Jimmy bid farewell to Mrs. Riley and head for the second stop in their fire hunt, the Tupper home. As they approach the house, Jimmy says to Tim,
Gee, I sure hope we find out more than we did at Mrs. Riley's.
Yeah, rather disappointing. All we know, Jimmy, is the fire started in the bedroom, apparently near or on the bed. There was nobody in the house besides Mrs. Riley, no lights or appliances on, nothing that could have started a fire.
Chief's right. This is a baffler.
Yeah. Well, maybe I stuck my neck out when I asked for this assignment.
Oh, don't get discouraged yet, Tim. You'll turn up something, I know.
Well, anyway, here's the Tupper Chateau. Well, let's give a knock.
I hope she's not such a good housekeeper as Mrs. Riley. Gee, her and her clean floors.
Yeah.
Yes?
Mrs. Tupper?
Well, yes. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm Tim Collins of the fire department, and this is my brother Jimmy. We're trying to find out just what caused your fire today, and if I may, I'd like to investigate the roof that burned.
Oh, well, of course. We'll go round the back.
All right.
Tell me, do you think it was a firebug?
What makes you think that, Mrs. Tupper?
Well, I heard the fireman that was here before you talking, and I know there's been a lot of mysterious fires around town lately.
Oh, you're right, Mrs. Tupper. There have been, and it's my job to get to the bottom of them. Tell me, do you know if there was anything on the roof at the time the fire broke out?
On the roof?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, not that I know of.
Do you have a ladder, Mrs. Tupper? I'd like to take a look up there.
Oh, yes, surely. Right over there by the garage.
I'll get it, Tim.
All right, Jimmy. Mrs. Tupper, was there anyone in the house besides you when you discovered the fire?
No, I was alone.
There's the ladder, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy. I'll just run up and take a close peek at the roof.
I don't think you'll find anything up there but burned boards. The other man was up for quite a while. He didn't...
Say, that's quite interesting.
Did you find something, Tim?
I don't know yet, but I'm coming down to ask you a question, Mrs. Tupper.
Well, what is it, Tim?
Some scraps of cotton and a piece of striped cloth. Tell me, Mrs. Tupper, are you sure there was nothing on the roof?
Well, dear me, I'm pretty sure I can't think of anything.
Now think hard, Mrs. Tupper. It may be very important.
Something on the roof. Oh, my goodness. Yes, there was.
What was it, Mrs. Tupper?
A mattress. I laid it out on the roof to air early this morning.
A mattress? Yeah, these scraps are what's left of it. It still doesn't help. Oh, say.
Yeah, Tim?
Well, this isn't much of a clue, but it is strange that in both of these fires, bedding material or beds were involved.
Say, that's right. Mrs. Riley's fire began in a bedroom.
Yeah, I don't know what it means, but I think Chief Cody ought to know about this.
Well, it seems like a pretty flimsy clue that Tim's found, the fact that both the Riley and Tupper fires involve bedding or beds. But maybe it's a beginning in the long, tough job of solving the case of the mysterious fires. Now, to learn what happens at their meeting with Chief Cody, be sure to listen to the next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But right now, let's listen to this message. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special message for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. Here's a mighty good tip for you folks who are driving in a car when you hear fire engines sound their sirens. That siren means only one thing: clear the way for the fire department. So when you hear it while in the car, be sure that the driver pulls over to the side of the street immediately, stops and waits for the engines to pass. This is one way you can help your fire department almost every day. Do your part in keeping the streets free of traffic when the fire engines roll. That's all for now. Till I drop in the next time, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
The National Broadcasting Company presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington.
United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counterspy reports to the American people are brought to you each Friday night. Tonight, the case of the Insidious Impersonation.
Agent Ferguson, Counterspy Liaison Bureau, Washington, to David Harding, Communications Section, Pacific Coast Field Headquarters. Urgent. Ferguson to Harding.
Harding, Pacific Coast Field Headquarters.
Reference confidential file R33X, sir.
Confidential file R33X. Go ahead, Ferguson.
Special request has just come through from the State Department that you personally meet the liner SS Trigania, which arrives in New York tomorrow.
What time is the Trigania due?
It's scheduled to dock at Pier 33 at 10 a.m.
All right, Ferguson, have a cutter standing by for my use. And notify the parties concerned that I'll board the Trigania at Ambrose Light.
Yes, sir, will do.
Peters, notify Spaulding that I'm putting him in charge of our present operation here on the West Coast till you and I get back.
Till we get back, where are we going?
Now, after you talk to Spaulding, call the airport and order the jet to be ready for a takeoff within an hour.
Why the big rush, Mr. Harding? What's up?
We're making an emergency flight to New York, Peters. I'll give you the details on the way.
Well, Mr. Harding, how about those details now?
Peters, we're flying to New York in reference to confidential file R33X.
File R33X.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You weren't in Washington last week when I discussed the matter with Mr. Johnson of the State Department.
No. Just what is R33X, Chief?
That's the code number for a special mission to Washington by Mr. Ramon Sierra.
Ramon Sierra, the Philippine statesman?
Yes.
Mr. Sierra and his aide, Colonel Manuel Quinto, are scheduled to arrive in New York tomorrow morning aboard the liner Turgenia.
I don't get it, Dave. Why New York?
Well, Mr. Sierra is ostensibly taking a long ocean voyage for his health.
Ostensibly?
Mm-hmm.
A cover-up for his business here, isn't it?
Exactly. Very careful plans were made not to arouse the suspicions of Huck espionage agents in the Philippines. The secret conference in Washington will deal with a defense plan for the islands in case of a surprise attack like the Korean affair.
It's certainly big stuff, Dave. There's no telling what espionage agents would do to get information on what will be said at that conference.
Or no telling what they would do to stop it. That's why we're on our way to New York, Peters, to make sure that Mr. Sierra's mission is accomplished safely and successfully.
Senor Sierra? Senor?
Over here, Colonel Quinto. The deck's red. What is it, Colonel Quinto?
I have been looking all over the ship for you, Senor Sierra.
Oh?
We have just received a radiogram from Mr. David Harding of the United States Counterspies. He's meeting us aboard tomorrow morning to escort you to Washington.
Ah, David Harding. I will be delighted to see him again.
You don't understand, Senor Sierra. There must be a special reason for Mr. Harding himself to come. The Counterspies must have some special information regarding personal danger to you.
Now, Coronel, do not let your imagination run away with you. I'm sure Mr. Harding comes only because of protocol.
Just the same, Senor, I will not rest easy until tomorrow. I suggest we return to our cabin and remain there until Mr. Harding comes aboard.
But I am expected in a few minutes at Mr. Douglas's cabin. We are to continue our chess game.
Please, Senor, do as I ask. We can afford to trust no one.
Colonel Quinto, you are actually worried about Mr. Douglas.
After all, what do we know of him?
We know that Mr. Robert Douglas is a retired American businessman returning home after a visit to doctors in Vienna.
Espionage agents make use of many disguises.
Mr. Douglas, an espionage agent. Now, Colonel, you're carrying things much too far. Mr. Douglas is a paralytic, confined to a wheelchair for over 5 years. Why, he's so helpless his nurse, Miss Marshall, even has to make the moves on the chessboard for him.
Just the same, Senor Sierra, we must take every precaution. The future security of our nation is dependent upon your mission. I must insist that you return with me to our cabin.
I am sorry, Colonel, but I have promised my company to a sick man. The least I can do my last night aboard is keep such a promise.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Sierra. Won't you come in?
Thank you, Miss Marshall.
I've already set up the chessboard, and Mr. Douglas is raring to go.
I most certainly am, Mr. Sierra. I brought my aide, Colonel Quinto, along. I believe you gentlemen know each other?
Yes, we do.
Of course. Glad to have you here, Colonel.
Thank you.
To be truthful, Mr. Douglas, the Colonel insisted upon coming. Insisted? The Colonel has a notion that you may be a spy. A spy? Really?
As a matter of fact, Mr. Douglas, I can safely say now that you are a spy. You are no more a wheelchair invalid than I am. Is that not true?
All right, Colonel Quinto. Colonel, he's gotten out of the wheelchair.
And Miss Marshall is not a nurse. Are you, Miss Marshall?
No, I'm not a nurse. But I do know how to administer a hypodermic when its use is called for.
Colonel Quinto, you were correct about them all along. I should have listened to you.
Oh, no. I am glad you did not.
What do you mean?
I wanted you to come here. That was the plan.
Plan?
I know your nature very well by this time. I knew you would insist upon coming if I just went so far.
But I don't understand.
You have the hypodermic ready, Miss Marshall?
Ready, Colonel. Now?
In a moment. Now, do you understand, Sierra?
You have been working with him.
We all work in the same cause.
And I trusted you.
That was my purpose, to gain your complete trust. To make sure that you did not get to that Washington conference tomorrow.
Your plan will not work, Quinto. Mr. Harding will discover what happened when he investigates my death.
But you are not going to die. At least not yet. And you attend that conference tomorrow, but in name only. Is that not right, Douglas?
Si, Colonel Quinto. I will attend. He has my voice.
And that is not all. If you look at Douglas more closely, you will notice that he has your build, too, and your features.
Perhaps that is why you were attracted to me, eh, Sierra?
The impersonation will be flawless. Douglas has been trained well for his assignment. He has memorized all important facts in your career. And Miss Marshall has heard you this, too.
I'll use this hypodermic, Mr. Sierra, to keep you quiet and unobtrusive. So I'll have no difficulty in getting you, as the paralytic Mr. Douglas, off this boat tomorrow morning in New York.
And from the boat, you will be taken away by a special ambulance. All right, Miss Marshall.
Now, Mr. Sierra. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I promise to take very good care of you, Mr. Sierra.
What is... Yes. Miss Marshall will take very good care of you until she is instructed to do otherwise.
I don't know.
Feeling tired, Senor Sierra?
This is unbelievable. Fantastic.
Of course, Sierra. Fantastic. Unbelievable. That is what we rely on for our success. No one would believe that such a daring venture as this would be attempted. No one. Not even David Harding.
David Harding, United States Counterspy.
I am Colonel Manuel Quinto, aide to Senor Sierra.
Colonel?
Come in, please, Senor Harding.
Thank you.
I am delighted to see you again, Senor.
Thank you, Mr. Sierra, and welcome back to the United States.
It is good to be here again, Senor, and to renew old friendships, especially with you.
Well, I've been looking forward to this meeting, too, sir.
Let's see. When last we met... yes. It was in December 1943. The conference at your office in Washington in regard to establishing intelligence contact with our partisan forces. Is that not correct?
Oh, yes, that's correct, Mr. Sierra. There was such a conference in my office.
Yes. Senor Sierra has a remarkable memory for dates, places, and persons, Senor Harding.
Especially such a person as you, Senor Harding.
I am sincerely impressed, sir. Tell me, did you have a good voyage?
Very restful, thank you.
And very uneventful, we are happy to report.
Well, gentlemen, I can see no reason why the remainder of your trip should be any more troublesome.
Not as long as we are in your hands, Senor Harding.
Well, just a minute, Miss Marshall.
Why, what is it, Purser?
I saw you starting down this gangplank with that wheelchair.
Well, I'm taking Mr. Douglas to the ambulance waiting on the dock. Is there something wrong?
Why, no, miss. Just thought I'd give you some help.
Oh. Well, no, thank you, Purser. I'm quite able to handle it myself.
Very well. Oh. I say.
Yes?
Mr. Douglas, he's looking rather strange this morning.
Strange?
Yes, as if there's something the matter with him. He's not moving.
Oh, that's nothing at all. He's just asleep. I gave him a sedative.
Oh, I see.
You see, he's had a very trying day.
Well, Miss Marshall, he's certainly a lucky man having someone as attentive as you are to take care of him.
Why, that's my job. That's what I get paid for.
Oh, no, Miss Marshall. I've noticed you many times during this trip. It's obvious to me that you're not just interested in the money that goes with your job.
Driver?
Miss Marshall?
There's a dirt road just ahead on the left. Will you drive the ambulance in there and park?
Right. How's your patient back there? Still asleep?
Uh-huh. And he'll be that way for hours.
How far you want to go, Miss Marshall?
Oh, just a little farther. I've got a car parked in the woods on the side of the road. All right. Stop here.
Okay, Miss Marshall, I'll take him out, get him in the car for you.
Well, that won't be necessary, driver. I can handle it myself.
It's kind of heavy, you know.
I can manage. And I can manage this gun, too.
You are listening to the case of the Insidious Impersonation on Counterspy. Sunday afternoon chimes mean mystery in action on NBC. Mike Waring, better known as the Falcon, lends his debonair touch to the solution of another mystery, followed by that polite, diplomatic, and very deadly detective, the Saint. After the Saint, hear the Big Guy. And then your Sunday afternoon of mystery concludes with that new private eye, Charlie Wilde, who goes into action with a swash of the buckle and a few nonchalant homicides. Now, back to Counterspy.
Mr. Johnson's office is right down this corridor, Mr. Sierra.
Senor Harding, Colonel Quinto and I are very grateful to you and Senor Peters for escorting us here to Washington for the conference.
It was an honor, Mr. Sierra. Here we are.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Harding.
Afternoon, Miss Lane. This is Mr. Ramon Sierra and his aide, Colonel Quinto.
And Mr. Johnson is expecting the gentleman in his office.
And let me thank you again, Senor Harding.
The pleasure was mine, sir.
I hope to see you once more before I leave Washington.
I'm sure we'll see each other again.
This way, gentlemen, please.
Adios, Senor Harding. Goodbye, Colonel Quinto.
Well, Dave, our job's finished.
No, Peter. Our real job has just begun.
What do you mean?
Hold on a moment. I talked to Mr. Johnson on this phone.
Hello?
Mr. Johnson, this is Harding. Now listen closely. Don't give away that you're talking to me, and don't act surprised by what I'm going to tell you.
I see. Very well.
The man who was just brought into your office is not Ramon Sierra.
What?
The man in your office is an imposter, undoubtedly an espionage agent. Now, you'll have to handle this very delicately. Play along as much as you can, but give out no valuable information. You understand?
Yes. Yes, I understand fully. The matter will be taken care of as expertly as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I or one of my agents will be in touch with you after today's conference. National Airport, Thompson. Make it fast.
Dave, I don't get all this.
I didn't have a chance to explain before, Peter. Now, hold on just another moment while I use the radio. Harding, Car S1, calling headquarters.
Agent Ferguson, go ahead, Mr. Harding.
I just left the State Department building, Ferguson. I want a squad of men sent over immediately to Mr. Johnson's office in the Pacific Affairs Division.
Yes, sir.
Now, my orders are to have Ramon Sierra and Colonel Quinto kept under constant surveillance. Now, one more thing.
Yes, Chief.
Contact the airport. Tell them I want the jet ready for an immediate flight back to New York.
Will do, Mr. Harding.
Dave, when did you find out he wasn't the real Ramon Sierra?
When I first spoke to him in his cabin on the Turgenia.
Oh?
He made a point of reminding me that we had met at a conference in my office back in 1943. Well, there was such a conference then, but I wasn't there. I'd been rushed to the Naval Hospital at Bethesda for an appendectomy.
He was trying all out to sell himself to you.
Yes. Lucky for us, he oversold himself.
Dave, this is one of the most daring schemes on record.
Yes, Peter. And now we've got about the most ticklish counter-spy job on record. Plenty of international ramifications that could blow up right in our face. We're going to have to work in complete secrecy.
Decide on any special modus operandi?
No, nothing special. We're flying right back to New York. We're going to dig until we find out what happened to the real Ramon Sierra.
Good evening, Mr. Sierra.
Huh?
Did you have a pleasant sleep?
Miss Marshall?
That's right, Miss Marshall.
What are you doing in my cabin?
We're not in your cabin. We're alone, Mr. Sierra, in a cottage on the south shore of Long Island. We left the ship over 10 hours ago. We came here by special ambulance.
Then it was no dream.
No dream, Mr. Sierra, any more than this gun is a dream. Now, I know you'll be sensible and won't force me to shoot it prematurely.
Colonel Quinto, he has gone to Washington?
Yes. Colonel Quinto and you, Mr. Sierra, are now in Washington, thanks to none other than David Harding, the chief of the United States Counterspies himself.
This insane scheme will never succeed.
It can't fail. You, Mr. Sierra, have already completed the first part of those very important talks with the State Department official, Mr. Johnson. And by this time tomorrow evening, our work here will be finished, and no one will be the wiser. Until, of course, it is much too late.
Peters in patrol car at Pier 33 to Harding, New York field office. Urgent. Peters to Harding.
Harding, go ahead, Peters.
Hello, Dave. I just went over the passenger list of the Dragania with the ship's purser. I've got something that might be a break in the case. Suggest you come down and talk to the purser yourself.
All right, Peters. I'm on my way there.
Well, Colonel Quinto, I would say we are well on our way to success.
Yes. And, Douglas, you can stop with the impersonation as long as we are alone in the hotel room, eh?
All right, Quinto. Well, I've come to really enjoy the part, especially deceiving Harding.
Yeah, you've done very well.
Thanks.
A drink, Douglas.
Delighted.
Scotch, is it not?
Uh-huh. With soda. But light on the soda.
Here you are.
Thanks. Too bad Miss Marshall can't be here to enjoy this.
I am sure Miss Marshall is getting equal enjoyment out of her part of the job.
I suppose so. She's a rather peculiar woman. I don't think I could ever kill anyone in cold blood. She always seemed to get a thrill out of it. But everyone to his own taste, huh?
In our cause, Douglas, it is everyone to his own usefulness.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I forgot. Well, how about a toast, eh, Quinto? To tomorrow, and the final session of the conference.
And to tomorrow, and the phone call I shall make to Miss Marshall.
That's the story, Mr. Harding. You see, sir, I offered to help Miss Marshall take the wheelchair down the gangplank, but she wouldn't allow me.
And this happened, Purser, after the other passengers debarked.
Oh, yes, sir. Quite a time after.
Would you please tell Mr. Harding the condition of Miss Marshall's patient?
All right, Mr. Peters. Well, Mr. Douglas looked rather strange to me. He was slumped over in the wheelchair, motionless.
Miss Marshall told the purser that she'd given Mr. Douglas a sedative, Chief.
I see. Did you see Mr. Douglas' face?
Only part of it, sir. See, his coat collar was up and his hat was pulled down.
Oh. Well, did you notice where they went when they got down onto the pier?
Luckily, he did, Mr. Harding. There was an ambulance waiting for them, and they drove off immediately.
Oh?
I've already radioed our agents in this area to investigate all ambulance services.
Yeah, good. Now, one more thing, Purser. During the time he was aboard ship, did Mr. Douglas have any close acquaintances?
Well, send that at you ask. I do recall him being friendly with another passenger, Mr. Raymond Sierra.
Sierra, huh?
Yes, Mr. Harding, very friendly. I hope I've been some help.
You certainly have. Thank you very much. Let's go, Peters. New York Field Office, Harding speaking.
Peters, Dave. Braden and I just finished our check on Robert Douglas.
And?
Just as you figured, the name is a phony. No such person living at the address given in the ship's record. Braden was in touch with the passport division of the State Department.
Both Douglas and Miss Marshall's passports are not recorded. Is that it?
That's it, Chief. No doubt now that Douglas changed places with Mr. Sierra.
Yeah, none at all. Oh, we've got Douglas under surveillance, but now the trick is to find Miss Marshall and her new patient.
Yeah, but where to start looking?
Well, get those reports from those ambulance services we're investigating.
And this, Mr. Sierra, is the amount of money the United States will furnish to your government for the purchase of defense equipment.
Senor Johnson, the Filipino Republic is everlastingly grateful for this great kindness.
Yes. Yes, you must be tired, Mr. Sierra. We've been at this conference table for over 7 hours.
No, senor. I am fine.
Well, we could finish the remainder of our business tomorrow morning.
Senor Johnson, I am anxious to finish tonight so I can return quickly to my people with the good news. I am sure you understand.
Yes, Mr. Sierra, I'm sure I understand fully. Well, then we'll go right on. We should be through by 8 o'clock if you have to make any plans.
8 o'clock?
Uh-huh.
I will call my aide, Colonel Quinto, at our hotel so he can make the necessary arrangements.
Harrison just phoned in, Dave. He located the ambulance.
Good.
Not so good.
Why? What's wrong?
The ambulance was not driven to the place noted on the service's record.
Well, what about the driver of the ambulance? Didn't Harrison check with him?
Harrison couldn't check with him, Dave. The driver was found this morning out in some woods on Long Island, dead. Shot through the head.
Miss Marshall, Coronel Quinto.
Oh, I've been waiting to hear from you.
Sierra's almost finished with his work here in Washington. You will take a plane and meet us in San Francisco tomorrow evening.
Then everything is all set?
Everything.
And what about my patient?
It is now 25 minutes of 8. Sierra will be through with the conference at exactly 8. And unless you hear from me to the contrary, at exactly 8 o'clock, you will put your patient out of his misery.
Communications Section, Washington, to Harding, New York Field Office. Blow alert on Sierra case. Stand by. Blow alert. Vital information coming through. Stand by.
Harding, Control Car S1, to all motor patrols in New York area. Disregard all previous orders and converge immediately on house at 56 Elm Drive, Glenmore, Long Island. Repeat, 56 Elm Drive, Glenmore, Long Island.
1 minute of 8, Mr. Sierra. You have exactly 1 more minute to live. Well, what's the matter with you? Aren't you afraid? You just sit there smiling.
I smile, Miss Marshall, because in the end I know I will win, and you and the others will lose.
We can't lose now. There's nothing to stop us.
There is always something. Someone to stop people like you.
For a man who's about to be shot to death, you seem very brave.
Death does not frighten me. I'm an old man. I have lived a full life.
Oh, no regrets, eh?
Only one.
And that?
That I will not be present when you and the others are brought to trial.
Your time is up, Mr. Sierra. Now we two say goodbye. Hello?
Put that gun down, Miss Marshall.
What?
Put it down.
Who is this?
You're too late now, Miss Marshall. Too late to kill Mr. Sierra.
What kind of a trick is this? Who's talking?
You have exactly 3 seconds to put that gun on the table.
Who are you? Why are you calling me?
Your time is up, Miss Marshall.
Oh, no, you can't trick me. I'll do what I have to
Then
do.
you'll be killed yourself by Mr. Harding.
Harding?
He's standing right behind you in the doorway.
You can't fool me. No one is in this cottage. No one knows I'm here. Harding could never find me.
That's where you're wrong, Miss Marshall.
What?
Look out, Peter! The next shot is for keeps. Now you're going to do as you're told.
That voice on the phone.
That was one of my agents talking to you by radio phone from one of the patrol cars outside this house. We were playing for a few extra seconds to save Mr. Sierra.
I told her, Senor Harding, that she and the others would lose.
How did you ever find us here? What happened to Quinto and Douglas?
We had a tap on Quinto's hotel phone. While he was talking to you earlier, my agents were busy checking the address that went with this phone number.
So Quinto and Douglas, they're waiting for you in Washington. We're arranging a very special kind of conference for all of you.
All right, Peters, you can take her out. I'll be along in a minute with Mr. Sierra.
Come on, let's go.
Senor Harding, it is good to see you again.
You too, Mr. Sierra. You've no idea how good.
Tune in every Friday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen next Friday for the exciting case of the carbon console.
When a broken pencil was fitted together 3,000 miles from Counterspy headquarters, the matching pieces blew wide open one of the most sinister international intrigues on record. The full case history will be revealed next Friday in
Case of the Carbon Console on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Counterspy is produced by Phillips H. Lord.
3 chimes mean good times on NBC.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gutter, the prison, or the grave. It started with death on my doorstep and got worse when I lied to a sympathetic bull, was pistol whipped by a gorilla with dimples, and fought with a kitten on the Keys. And it might have gone on that way all night if I hadn't been helped by the king of the beasts.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of mystery, comes his most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy as we present The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The August Lion.
It was one of those in-between hours, along about 10 on a night at home when you don't quite know what to do with yourself. Then all of a sudden it's 11, and then 11:30, and you're in slippers and a robe and have done nothing, which is exactly where I was, except that I'd already decided on one, and only one, very dry martini, a quiet cigarette, and bed, when it came loud, insistent, and unwelcome. No improvement when I opened up. Saw less than 5 feet of excited cab driver jumping up and down.
Mister, you Doc Marlowe?
Yeah, I'm Doc Marlowe.
That's right. Here he comes with a Doc. You better make room. Is the sofa there okay? I'll clear it off.
Oh, wait a minute, Jack. Who comes? Who?
Okay, mister. Bring her on in. The Doc's here, all right. Hey, Doc, she's stiff. She's out like a light.
Who?
The babe. Who do you think? Sure too bad some people can't drink, huh, Doc?
Yeah, it's real tough. Now tell me, do you...
Hello, Phil.
That's an angel.
I'm sorry to bust in on you this way. Is the sofa all right?
No, it's stuffed with granite. Put her in the bedroom.
Okay, will you take care of the driver, please?
Yeah. How much, friend?
Well, only 80 cents on the meter, Doc.
A couple of bucks ought to cover it here. Good night.
Good night, Diamond Jim.
Well, Phil, I guess I'd better explain all this.
Uh-huh.
Here, I haven't seen you in 6 months, and when I do...
Never mind the details, Judd boy. Let's talk about the problem. Who's the girl?
Her name's Voss. Eileen Voss. She's kind of a stockbroker. Maybe speculator's a better term. You know, takes big chances with other people's money. I was in love with her, Phil, until tonight.
When what happened?
When I found out I was just one of many, it threw me, Phil. I really lost my temper. I swore I'd kill her on sight.
Yeah, most guys do at a time like that, Judd. What's that got to do with her being drunk? And by the way, while we're talking, I'll put on some coffee, huh?
No, don't, Phil.
Why not?
Because it can't help. She had a shot too many, all right. Only this one's a bullet in her head. She's dead.
Oh, fine.
Now, Phil, listen, please. You've got to help me. I've got to find out who did it. Phil, it started a couple of hours ago when I found out she'd been playing me for a sucker. I went to her place the first time in a week, boiling mad. The door was open.
Judson's angel's eyes never left my face as he told the story from the beginning. The girl's body on the couch when he walked in, a neat hole in the back of her head. The gun he knew she owned shoved under her pillow. Then in the next second, before he could even look in the other rooms, the arrival of the cabbie somebody'd called who thought Eileen was just another drunk who had to be shown the way to go home. How he seized on that as an opportunity to keep from being placed at the scene of the murder he had every reason to commit. How minutes after he was in the cab he realized he was near my place. How to avoid suspicion he said I was a doctor. Everything except why, specifically, he was so afraid of the police. I knew that was going to be next.
Now, Phil, I suppose you want to know why I couldn't possibly call the police.
Yeah, that's right. Why?
Because I'd surely be booked and fingerprinted. And that'd ruin me. You see, a long time ago, I served time in the state penitentiary in Illinois.
What?
Yes, so I've kept it quiet. Only Phoebe Hammond in my office knows. It was for forgery, Phil. It was under another name and way back when I didn't know the difference between clever business and crooked business. It's taken 10 years to work up my reputation as an accountant. So you see, if I get mixed up in this, it'll all come out and... Well, smash, lots of pieces, no more. Oh, you've got to help me, Phil. You've got to find the real killer before the police get to me. Please, Phil.
I can't, Judd. It'd be smashing just as many little pieces for me, too, if I tried to pull anything like this on homicide. No, I'm sorry, Judd. I've got to report this body.
But, Phil, look, what if you do report the body, but you say that you don't know anything about it, that you're going out to find what you can? What about that, Phil? Oh, please. Please, Phil.
Okay. What's the girl's address?
91 Hollycrest Drive.
91 Hollycrest.
Yeah, the door wasn't locked, Phil.
Mm-hmm. Your phone number, Judd?
Gladstone 3926. I won't move out of my place until I hear from you.
Now, make sure you don't, Judd. Because if I can't find the real killer, I've got to tell what I know about you. You understand that, don't you? When Angel left, I called Detective Lieutenant Matthews of police headquarters and lied that there was a corpse in my apartment about which I knew nothing, and that I was on my way out to see what I could find. Then I hung up fast, not feeling very good. 20 minutes later, when I was in the plush living room at 91 Hollycrest Drive, I had 0 to go on. Until I got to the bedroom where, caught in the folds of lace at the bottom of a petticoated vanity, I found a piece of male jewelry that stood out against that backdrop like Argyle socks on a turtle. It was a gold tie clasp ornamented with the figure of a lion, a little more majestic than most. I dropped it into my pocket and then moved out into a long hall that led to the kitchen. I was about to start toward it when he spoke.
Don't move, buddy.
Like the voice, he was thick and soft, especially in the middle where he was girdled in double-breasted gray flannel. So I couldn't tell whether he was plus or minus a tie clasp. Also, he had no hair and a pair of deep dimples that danced when he talked. The gun in his hand didn't.
Okay, turn around. Let's go back to the living room, buddy. I want to ask you a few questions. Like why you're taking inventory here.
Well, it's my job. You see, I'm an auctioneer. The lady of the house won't need this stuff anymore. She's not going to...
Now stop where you are, and don't turn around. Okay, where's the girl? Come on, where is she?
Out. And only if you'll tell me why you want to know will I tell you where. You see, that way I come out even.
Maybe. Well, Eileen Voss owes me money, buddy, and I want it now before she's flat broke. Now, where is she?
On her way to the morgue. Like you don't know.
Well, what do you mean by that? I didn't kill her?
Honest, Injun?
Listen, you. Get this straight. I came into this place just now for one reason only. To check on the Voss girl and make sure she wasn't on her way out of town, bag and baggage in hand, and my $50,000. Now, don't forget that.
I'll try not to.
And don't move. Hello. No, she's not here. Judy? Yeah, it's me, honey. No, she's out. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about it later at the club. Yeah. Right, Judy. So long. Now, where were we, buddy?
In the middle of a big fat lie, your reason for being here.
Oh, yeah. That's where we were. And you know, that's a good old place to leave it. Buddy.
When the twin telephones, lamps, and end tables next to me got back to being one of each again, I saw the note next to the phone that said, "Call Monday at the garden room," which didn't add to much until I realized that Monday was spelled not as the day in the week, but M-U-N-D-Y. And I recalled that the garden room was a cozy collection of crepe paper flowers where some people did their serious drinking. That plus dancing dimples telling a girl named Judy, who had called for Eileen in the first place, that he'd meet her at the club was a little better than the 0+ tie clasp I'd been working with. And a half hour later, that little became a lot, and things started to dovetail because a placard under glass in front of the garden room bragged about the glamour-puss pianist featured inside, whose name was first Judy, second Monday, not his day in the week. I blessed my good luck, exchanged smiles only with a head-check girl in the lobby, and found a table for one inside, not more than a half a dozen octaves away from Miss Monday's left hand. I'd ordered a drink and had a cigarette going before she paid any attention to me.
I'll play anything you want. It's a rule of the house. Just name it, or hum it, or whistle. But don't croon. That's also a rule of the house. What'll it be?
How about the number you always play for that fat friend of yours? You know, the one with the deep dimples?
Burlesque? Sure. Kind of corny. Remember it?
Yeah.
You a friend of his?
Not exactly.
I didn't think so. He'd crown you if he heard you say dimples. He's sensitive. You're new here, aren't you?
I've been in once or twice. Mutual friend of ours used to speak well of you. Eileen Voss.
What made her change her mind?
She was murdered tonight. Any idea who did it? I said
I heard you. No, mister, I haven't got the slightest idea. There, that's the end of your request. Sorry, but I'm only allowed one to a customer.
It's a rule of the house, I know, yeah. I'll see you, Judy. This is Marlowe, Angel.
Oh, Phil. Where are you? What have you found out?
In that order, I'm in a phone booth at a club called the Garden Room. And what I found out so far won't impress Detective Lieutenant Matthews of the Homicide Squad at all when next we meet.
But nothing in the apartment? No lead of any kind?
I'm not sure, Judd. I ran into a round man with a sleek gun who piled me up and left before very much was said.
But, Phil, the garden room, the girl there's a friend of Eileen's. Talk to her.
Yeah, I already did, Judd. Got me the round man's name and no more. It was Berleffi. You mean anything?
Berleffi?
Yeah.
A fat guy with dimples and no hair?
That's right. He claimed Eileen had $50,000 that belonged to him.
Yeah, that must be him then, Phil.
Oh?
Yes, he's a gray marketeer, comes from San Francisco. I've never seen him, but the girl in my office, Phoebe Hammond, can help us.
Mm-hmm.
She once did some auditing work for Berleffi when she found out how crooked he was. She told me about him. I'll call her and have her meet you there, Phil.
All right, but look, I'll be at a corner table facing the door, and tell her to hurry, will you? I'll call you back later. Goodbye. It was exactly 1 o'clock when what was at least 3 parts CPA to each part woman pushed the front door out of the way and entered. At the top, there was close-cropped hair, streaked with some gray. No hat. At the bottom, dark brown stockings running into darker brown shoes. No heels. In between, severely tailored tweed, closed tight at the neckline. It took all of 15 efficient seconds to decide that I was her man. And less than that again to introduce herself, ask for a cigarette, and name her drink. When it was my turn to talk, I brought her up to date. Eileen Boss's murder included.
It's too bad, Marlowe. Judd's a great guy.
Yeah.
It was only lunch today that he was knocking himself out, trying to figure what would be 4-0 for my birthday next week. Now this. Tell me, what can I do to help?
Well, at the moment, Berleffi. All I know about him, Miss Hammond, aside from what I've told you he said at Eileen's, is that he and Judy Mundy are a team.
And Judy was a friend of Eileen's. How cozy.
Isn't it?
Well, it goes like this. Berleffi's front name is Steve, and he's out of San Francisco via Detroit and Chicago. And in each case, only a length of the subpoena ahead of the law.
Oh?
Back in the 30s, he was a mobster. The numbers game, protection racket, that kind of stuff. But after the war, he cashed in all his chips and went into a more or less legitimate business. With, of course, absolutely no change in tactics.
Know what you mean. Now, look, can you tell me where he lives?
No. But I'll bet my bottom dollar that the kitten on the keys here can. Only be careful. Berleffi has a reputation for shooting first and talking later. I only hope he isn't after Judd, too. You know, there might be some connection between them that goes back to the days when Judd was Francis Lyon and Berleffi
Phoebe, did you just say Francis Lyon?
That's right. Lyon.
Uh-huh.
Judson Angel is the name he took when he came out here. Why? What does that mean?
I don't know. Here, look at this tie clasp.
Oh?
The ornament. It's also a lion. I found it in the bedroom at Eileen's place, and yet Judd told me that he hadn't gone past the living room.
But Marlowe, that doesn't prove that Judd lied. Why, it might not be his at all.
Have you ever seen it before?
No, I haven't. Besides, I never knew Judd to wear a tie clasp.
Okay. Could belong to Berleffi. But it's still worth checking after we get Judd out of his apartment. Look, where's your place, Phoebe?
Mulholland Drive, 361 North.
361.
About a mile up into the hills.
I'll let you do the trick. Honey, you go home and stay close to the fireside. I'll get a hold of Judd and tell him to get over there fast. And then maybe we can...
Maybe we can what? What is it, Marlowe?
Outside, Phoebe. It's a man coming this way.
Berleffi?
Worse. Goodbye, baby. I'll see you later at your place. I've been afraid of this all night.
But who is it? What's his name?
Detective Lieutenant Matthews. He's a police officer, Phoebe. First, last, and always. So long.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, music you like best of all, whether it's classical favorites or popular old ballads, is the music you hear when you tune in Sunday afternoon to the Symphonette and the Choral Ears. This Sunday, the Symphonette plays popular operatic pieces and has as guest Milton Kay, pianist, who will play the final movement from Rachmaninoff's Concerto No. 2 in C minor. The male choir and Lenny Stokes, featured baritone of the chorus, will bring you Pale Moon, The Wizard of Oz, Alice Blue Gown, Make Believe, and other favorites. Yes, it's the music you like when you tune in the Symphonette and the Choral Ears every Sunday over most of these same CBS stations. Now with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The August Lion.
When I left Phoebe Hammond at the table and moved toward the bar, my first impulse was run, do not walk. This is a different kind of an emergency. But a quick glance into the mirror behind me tagged that as suicide and pushed try nonchalance into its place, because I could see that Detective Lieutenant Matthews had already spotted me. When he was closer, I could also see that nonchalance would go over like punching him in the nose on the steps of City Hall.
All right, Phil, that little game is over. Now let's have it straight and fast. Who are you working for? And don't bother with the pitch on professional ethics, so we'll try this all over again down in headquarters. His name, what is it, Phil?
Judson Angel, he's a friend.
Yeah. Who is what to the corpse?
He was in love with her, but he didn't kill her.
Oh.
Now, look, Matthews, I've never held out on you before, have I?
Which means you want to start now, huh? What are you getting at, Phil?
My client's in a jam, Lieutenant. He didn't kill the girl, but unless I can find out who did, he's an eyebrow deep in a mess that doesn't even concern him.
Which has what to do with you playing bashful tipster on the phone, with the body being in your bedroom and Marlowe starring like a one-man police force?
Will you listen?
Come on, Phil. I've been an hour and a half just finding you. Now level. Why is this Judson Angel in a jam if he didn't do it?
Okay. We'll try it honest-like. He once did time in another state, under another name, way back when he had less sense.
Ah.
If he's booked and fingerprinted, it'll be splashed all over the papers. He'll be ruined.
Why? What's his business?
Well, today it's accountancy, and then it was forgery.
Oh.
You can see that side by side they don't make a very handsome couple. Now, come on, Matthews, give the guy a break. Will you? Take my word, he deserves it.
What do you want me to do?
Give me some time. If I don't have the answers, I'm out of luck, and so is Judson Angel. Please, Matthews.
All right, Phil, all right. 60 minutes. And if I don't hear from you by 10 after 2, we start all over again down in headquarters, your client included. I'll be waiting for your call, Phil. Good night.
Detective Lieutenant Matthews was nobody's Keystone cop, and I knew that when he said 60, count 'em, 60 minutes, he meant just that and no more. So I found a nice and public phone booth at a gas station across the street, and while I kept one eye out for Berletti and Associates, I dialed Judson Angel's number. But in the next second, when I was through to him, I knew that I could forget about Berletti on my end.
Phil, I'm in trouble here. Outside, a man and woman. They're coming up the walk now.
He's fat and gray flannel?
Yes. She just pulled up in a cab, but he's been out there 20 minutes watching the place.
Berletti, listen, Judd, get out the back way. Get over to Phoebe's place.
Oh, he's out the door now, Phil. He's kicking it in. Phil, get up here. 21 South Orange Lane.
Judd, do as I say, will you? Get out. Get to Phoebe's place on Mulholland Drive. I'll see you there. Hurry.
All right, Marlowe. All right. Marlowe, he's in.
Judd!
Put that phone down, Angel, or I'll kill you. Now.
When I screeched to a stop at number 21 South Orange Lane, which was lights out, front door open, and no car parked in sight, I went inside. Just visible in the moonlight was the huddled figure I'd been afraid I'd find. What I didn't know until I was nearly next to it was that it was Judy Mundy, not my client, and only unconscious, not dead. There was a large white envelope lying next to her, and beyond that, a litter of broken porcelain that had once been a lamp. I switched on a light, found some brandy, and then brought her to as fast as I could.
Marlowe.
Yeah, and with a brand new request. Here, take a drink. Now, I'll ask the questions. 1, what happened here with the three of you? Where's Berletti and, more important, Judd Angel? Come on, baby, talk fast.
All right. I think Angel got away. I don't know where he is.
Berletti?
Dead, I hope. I got him to thank for that lamp getting together with my head.
How come?
Angel made a break for it, kicked out the lights, and tossed the lamp at the same time. Hero Berletti used me for a shield, then took off after him.
Your connection with both Berletti and Eileen Voss, what was it?
I forget.
Come on, Judy, baby, talk. You're not going to get another chance this side of the witness box.
Witness box? What for?
Your girlfriend's murder, trial by jury, an old Yankee tradition. You
Wait
remember?
A minute, Marlowe. I didn't have anything to do with Eileen getting killed. They can't tie that onto me.
They can try. Now, what'll it be?
It'll be what you want.
That's better.
I only got chummy with Eileen in the last month, Marlowe, because Berletti told me to. He was my boyfriend.
Hooray for love. Go on. What was in it for Berletti?
He wanted to know where Eileen got her tips on the market. That way he could skip paying her any commission.
Figures. What went wrong?
Nothing. Only instead of finding out how well she knew who, I discovered she was going broke, period. The rest of it, you, Eileen being dead, that muscle woman you talked to in the bar, all
Wait a minute. What about that girl in the bar? You two get together?
Oh, not for very long. After you left the table, she went outside, so I followed.
Why?
Because the cow jumped over the moon. Why do you think? I was still working for Berletti, remember? I thought it would help if he knew where she fit in.
What'd it get you?
A slap in the face. A that said she was raised on barbells. And this envelope here that fell out of her pocket.
Oh?
Don't get excited about it. It's only one of those horoscope charts.
What do? Collect them as a hobby?
When there are notes on the back, yeah. However, for friend Berleffi was unimpressed. Yeah, look yourself. It's double talk.
Cost plus 10%. 90 days will heal us. Yeah, it's strictly a CPA's margin notes. Doesn't mean that you owe.
Marlowe, your mouth's open. What is it? You look dumb.
Dumb I am and have been all night. Sweetheart, in your own clumsy way, you may have saved Judson Angel's life.
What are you talking about, Marlowe?
According to this horoscope, it's written in the stars. Maybe I'll make a good cop happy. Goodbye, sweets. Mulholland Drive is a fancy collection of hairpin turns and deceptive curves along the top of a mountain that separates Hollywood and Beverly Hills from the San Fernando Valley. But when I was on it and burning up good rubber at each bend as I headed for number 361 North, gas pedal on the floor, driving conditions were the least of my worries. And it wasn't until I had parked away from the bungalow that perched on the edge of a cliff and was out of my car, 38 in hand and close to a half-open French window, that I breathed a long, long sigh of relief. Because then I could clearly see that Judson Angel was still alive. I swallowed the sigh fast when I could also see Angel's face. It said there was nothing permanent about his good health, because on the other side of the room, and only visible to me via a corner mirror, was the reason why. Holding on tight to a short, ugly revolver was the one the horoscope had said could be Eileen Voss's killer, the CPA known as Phoebe Hammond. While she talked, I moved around to where I'd be able to take aim in one straight line.
About everything. I didn't want to kill Eileen in the first place. It was an accident.
I don't believe you.
Doesn't matter now. You see, I'd invested some money with her, Judd. Money that wasn't mine. When I found out she was going broke, I went up to see her and demanded it back. She laughed at me. I got mad. I hit her. She took out a gun and said she'd call the police if I didn't leave. I grabbed it away from her. Then I shot her.
Then you were there when I came in?
Yes. When I saw you and that cab driver she'd called earlier take the body, I didn't know what to do. Until later, when I met with Marlowe on your behalf and learned all about Berleffi and the tie clasp he'd found. The tie clasp with the lion on it that you'd recognize as mine if Marlowe ever got the chance to show it to you. But he won't, Judd. I can't let him.
Phoebe, you're crazy. You're crazy. You'll never get away with it.
Oh, yes, I will, Judd. It'll be Berleffi they'll blame. He entered your room with a gun in his hand. I know. I saw him and that girl. Also, Judd, I'm the reason you got away from him. I rammed into his car when he started after you. It's too bad, Judd.
Worse than that, Phoebe, it's a crying shame.
Marlowe! The lights up, Phil. She can see your silhouette.
I can follow her footsteps. We're even.
Phil, the terrace. She's trying to get away. There she is outside. She tripped Phil. The rail! Holy smoke. Phil, it's a good 200 feet down. Just solid rock.
Yeah. Come on away from it, Judd. Time we made a phone call. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. We were still on top of the mountain before the police had found the broken body of Phoebe Hammond. And Berleffi had been picked up and in lieu of anything better booked for breaking and entering Eileen Voss's place. When the parade of law, press, and just curious who always show up at the scene of a murder had finally left, it made it just me and Judd and a cop named Matthews.
Well, let me see if I got this straight for the records, Phil. First, you thought it was a tough called Berleffi. And second, you were afraid you'd been a sucker and it was really your client. And finally, you figured it had to be a woman who all the way looked like she was no more than along for the ride. Huh?
What? You mean you really believe I could have done it, Phil?
Well, yeah, it looked that way for a while, Judd. You know, you said you hadn't been past the living room up at Eileen's, and yet I found a tie clasp in the bedroom there ornamented with a lion. And then I found out your real name was also Lion. It almost added.
Yeah, but since you didn't have a chance to find out whether or not Berleffi was missing a tie clasp, you still considered that was only circumstantial evidence, am I right?
Right, yeah. Till I ran into the switch, which was an envelope that had belonged to Phoebe Hammond. There was a horoscope chart inside.
Which meant what?
Well, it only meant that she went in for that stuff no more until I remembered her mentioning that her birthday was next week, which is early August.
And that no doubt puts her under the sign of the Zodiac run by one Leo the Lion.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes, and the mannish tight-neck suit she always wore could have meant a shirt and tie underneath, minus clasp.
Exactly, gentlemen. That's it. Now, me, Lieutenant.
What?
Look, when you get back down to headquarters and you start the paperwork.
Yeah.
Do you have to mention a guy named Judson Angel?
A guy named what?
Judson Angel. Nothing. I was just thinking out loud.
Yeah. That's a bad practice, Phil, you know? It's kind of like only telling a policeman half of what you know can get you in trouble. Unless you're lucky. Oh, give you a lift, Mr. Mister.
You already have. Thanks, Lieutenant. And Phil,
Good night, Judd. When Judd and the lieutenant left, I figured I'd have a last cigarette on the terrace. Think a little about the desperate people I'd met on a night that had started out to be quiet. I found myself not smoking, not watching the early sun brighten the valley below, and not thinking about much of anything except the overturned stone flower pot that was lying next to the splintered rail where Phoebe Hammond had tripped and taken her final plunge. It was an ordinary square flower pot with an ordinary flower in it. But the figure in relief on the side was a lion resting on its haunches. And you know, as I looked at it, I thought it was a little more majestic than most.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, starred Gerald Moore, and was directed tonight by Cliff Howell. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Gene Bates, D.J. Thompson, Wally Mayer, Barney Phillips, and Jerry Hausner. Lieutenant Detective Matthews is played by Larry Dotkin. The special music is written by Richard Arant. Be sure and be with us next week when Philip Marlowe says...
It started with an Indian gift of a piece of pottery and led to a brown bear in moccasins, an archaeologist, much laughing water, and finally, death in an alley. But just to make matters worse, the Indian giver was a female, and 100% genuine, hot-blooded Apache.
They cracked the phantom voice question on Sing It Again last Saturday, so the jackpot is down to minimum, only $50,000. Although, looking at it optimistically, $50,000 is still the largest jackpot in radio. You get other nice prizes just for solving those gay little riddle songs, and it's one of the most entertaining hours you'll find all week. So if you like fun and riddles and good tunes, even if you don't care about $50,000, here's Sing It Again tonight on most of these same CBS stations. This is Joe Walter speaking. Stay tuned now for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
It's 8 o'clock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Van Cristo Radio Theater, which brings you each week great radio shows from the past. Tonight, Gangbusters!
Gangbusters, presented in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States. The only national program that brings you authentic police case history.
A brief reminder to stay tuned to the end of tonight's episode for a very special contest and announcement. And now enjoy tonight's presentation on Van Cristo Radio Theater.
Gangbusters presents Louis J. Valentine, former commissioner of the largest police force in the world, who will interview by proxy Lieutenant Tom McGrath, Chicago Police Department, retired. Commissioner Valentine.
Lieutenant McGrath, I know Winslow Urban terrorized the Midwest for years.
Yes, Commissioner Valentine. To Winslow Urban, crime was a big business. Where others sought thousands, he went after millions. Urban was so cunning and so daring that on one occasion he was able to rob hundreds of families of their life savings at one blow.
And that's tonight's case, Lieutenant McGrath. Where would you like to begin?
A few months ago in Chicago, Commissioner, a slender, wiry man named Lou Morgan was keeping an appointment in a large gymnasium where prize fighters exercised and trained.
Hi, Joe. Been waiting long? About time you got here, Morgan. Urban's getting impatient. This time he wants everything set and perfect. And no more excuses. Everything's okay now, Joe. I got it all figured like Urban wants. You took enough time. Well, he wants a clean job, Joe. It takes time. Okay, come on. Urban in the back room here? Yeah, he's getting a rub down. Let's go in. Morgan says it's all set, Urban. Hi, Urban.
Fill it, Morgan. It works. What are you waiting for?
All right, this rub down guy.
He's deaf and dumb, I tell you.
Oh, look, Urban, I'm the front man. I can't take no chances.
Just tell me, I tell you. Okay, I tell you. That's enough rubbing, Mickey. See? You can't hear nothing.
Look, I'm a nervous guy, Urban.
Okay. Joe, send Mickey out of here.
Hey, Mickey. Urban says that's enough rubbing for now. You should come back later. Yeah, later.
Okay, Morgan. What's it look like?
It's an easy mark, Urban. Ought to be $200,000.
I told you to find out about the burglar alarm.
I did.
Well?
No burglar alarm.
How do you know?
Well, that's what took me so long. Like I told you before, the place looks like a business office, see? But they got a big vault with a tin door. Some people don't like to keep money in a bank, so they rent safe deposit boxes from this office. They got hundreds of boxes. How do you know there ain't no burglar alarm? They got a watchman instead. He lives upstairs over the office. Me and him, pals. I made friends with the guy, see? We take a walk, have a couple of beers, and before you know it, I got the layout of the whole vault. The same as if he handed me the blueprint. Yeah, it'll be a cinch, Urban. You could drop a bomb in there, nobody'd hear it.
What about the doctor that has his office on the second floor?
He's the only one upstairs besides the watchman. You case the doctor? Sure, even let the doc examine me. You got nothing to worry about him. Goes home every night. You gonna do the job, Urban?
Yeah.
When?
Friday night.
Then I guess I'll blow out of town for the weekend.
You want your 10%. You do a piece of work for it.
What do you mean, Urban?
Somebody's got to put this watchman on the spot. We don't know him, so you're the one who's going to do it.
All right, but I can't. I'm up to my neck now. If I put the finger on that watchman, the cops will hang it on me, sure.
You'll do like I say if you know what's good for you.
Yeah. Okay, Urban.
When's the watchman make his rounds at the vault?
Every hour on the nose. Takes him 15 minutes.
He carry a time clock?
Yeah, he punches at the prize station.
What's he do after he makes his rounds?
Takes a walk, maybe for 45 minutes. But look,
Shut up. You gotta have that watchman in tow. I figure it'll take 3 hours to open the vault and crack the lockboxes inside. You gotta make the watchman's rounds for him, and the alarm will go off.
I'll take care of that, Urban.
Meanwhile, I don't want no nosy cops spotting at Jimmy's door. So we go in with the watchman's key. We keep the watchman where he can do no damage.
Yeah, Urban. I see your point, but look...
Friday night, you'll take a walk with that watchman at 10:15. When you get to the corner drugstore, go in for cigarettes. Leave the watchman standing on the corner. You and the boys will handle the details from there on. Just you have the watchman outside that drugstore.
Yeah, I hope you didn't mind walking down here by the drugstore.
No, it suits me, as long as we're walking.
Okay.
You know, walking's why I like being a night watch.
Yeah?
You can go out for air, between rounds.
Well, I just want to step in here for a minute.
Okay, let's go.
No. All I want is cigarettes. You wait here a minute. Huh?
Oh, wait, come to think of it, I need cigarettes myself.
Oh, yeah? Well, okay, what do you smoke? I'll get them for you.
Oh, now, listen, I couldn't let you do that. Oh, come on.
Oh, what's a pack of cigarettes? Just stay here a minute. I'll bring you some out.
Okay, miss. Okay with me. Pardon me, mister. We dropped a key on the curb back there.
Yeah, we wondered, could you hold a match while we look for it?
Why, yes, I guess so. I think I got a box of matches someplace here in my pocket.
Yeah, obliged, mister.
Right here is the spot. Sure. Just a second now. I'll strike a match. Find it. Now, Joe.
He's out cold.
Hold him up. Now, here comes the car. All right, get him in the car, quick. Okay, step on it. Head for the vault.
Look at it, thousands.
A gold mine. Look at all them rings and things.
Now, come on. We ain't got time to play with it. Crack the next box. What a haul. Am I seeing right?
$100 bills.
Joe.
Yeah, Urban?
Come here.
Keep on cracking them boxes, boys, while I see what Urban wants. Did you ever see so much dough, Urban?
That's going to be the biggest haul anybody ever got. What time is it, Joe?
It's almost 1.
Time to make another round with that watchman's time clock.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
How about the watchman?
I just checked him. He won't wake up for hours. When he does, it'll take him a week to untie himself.
Perfect, Joe. Perfect. All right, hurry up, you guys. Get them last boxes open. We're getting out in 20 minutes.
Looks like whoever broke into this vault made quite a haul, doesn't it, Sergeant?
No telling how much, Captain Rogers.
Oh, what a mess. Look at it. Mortgage papers, registered bonds, heirlooms. Everything they couldn't use. Thrown it all over the place.
They left this behind. Imagine what they took with them.
Any fingerprints, Sergeant?
Not a print, Captain Rogers.
Did you check that Watson story?
Yes, sir. I'm sure he's in the clear. But he's all we've got to work with right now.
Somebody cased this job perfectly.
Yes, they knew every corner like a book. Right now, it points to the man the watchman took a walk to the drugstore with just before the robbery.
What's the watchman have to say about this man?
He's given us a pretty accurate description, but it could fit 1,000 suspects.
All right. Put men to questioning everyone in the neighborhood, Sergeant. Maybe someone else noted this finger man. Meantime, we'll get an estimate of the loot. I hate to think of the figure when it gets totaled.
Not blaming them rings and things, Joe. I'm trying to ask.
Boy, oh boy, what'd that take? How much, Urban? How much?
Let me check the figures now. Let's see. Currency, coins, negotiable bonds, jewelry. 8, 13, 22, 30, 38, 60, 44.
How much, Urban? How much?
Just a second, wait a minute. There. Take a look.
300 grand.
Take another look, Joe.
300? Oh. 3,000. You're kidding.
No. That's the total.
$3 million.
Yeah. 3 million plus a couple of thousand and all that jewelry.
I didn't think there was that much dough in the world.
There was in them tin boxes.
And we got it.
Yeah. Joe.
Don't bother me. I'm dreaming about spending my cut.
That's what I want to talk about.
What do you mean? That's already settled.
Look, Joe. A $3 million score makes this dough the hottest stuff in the country.
So
we can't let the boys push it out too freely.
No?
My idea is everybody takes 15 grand apiece and we pack the rest away until it cools off.
Who packs it away?
He's a boy.
You.
Then I take care of the money until we split the balance.
I know, Urban. I know.
You think I'm crazy enough to blow out with all this dough? The boys would cut my head off.
And I'd be there with a sharpest knife.
Okay, so it's settled. Each take 15 grand, and I pack away the rest.
It's settled, Urban. But don't forget what I said.
About the sharpest knife?
Yeah. $3 million. Why, that little punk Morgan. He had the right dope. You got to give him credit.
Yeah. Morgan's in for casing this job. It's 10%. You know what 10% of $3 million is?
300 grand. So what?
300,000 is a lot of dough. More than we expected from the whole job.
He earned it.
What business a punk like Morgan got with 300,000? It's dangerous.
For him?
For us. He tosses that dough around, he gets picked up. The cops make him sing and we cry. You can't spend no $3 million in Joliet.
So we give him peanuts.
We give him nothing, Joe. He's front man, and sooner or later the cops will nab him. When a copper says boo, a punk like Morgan sings.
You mean we got to give him the business?
Yeah, the business. But make sure it's a clean job. Morgan's out of town now, setting up his alibi. He'll be back Monday for a split. You and the boys will see that he gets it. Between the eyes.
Not 24 hours after Urban robbed the vault, Commissioner Valentine, he was planning to dispose of the weakest member of his gang.
Lieutenant McGrath, we're all anxious to hear what happened next in this thrilling case.
We'll return to tonight's episode of Gangbusters on Van Cristo Radio Theater in just a few moments. In the recently completed 10th Annual Francis W. Hatch Awards competition, sponsored by the Advertising Club of Greater Boston, Van Cristo Associates won first prize for excellence in radio advertising. This highly coveted award was given to Van Cristo for the agency's radio commercials for the books The Military Industrial Complex and The Same Sex, published by Pilgrim Press. We're sure the many listeners of Van Cristo Radio Theater would like to hear these prize-winning commercials. Last week we played for you The Military Industrial Complex. Tonight we'll play The Same Sex.
Alabama, 2 to 10 years. Connecticut, 30 years. About 37% of all males have had at least one overt homosexual experience. Georgia.
When a homosexual is undesirably discharged from the Army, we notify the local police.
Maine.
The same sex?
The term homosexual is dehumanizing.
New Hampshire.
And men are more easily murdered if their full humanity is
5
ignored.
years or both. The gay bar is, well, it's a sexual market. If you know what to watch for in a gay bar, 7 to 20.
Same sex?
Vermont,
I
1
love
to
you.
5. Idaho,
love you too.
5 years to life.
The same sex? The same sex?
The Same Sex. An appraisal of homosexuality. A Pilgrim Press paperback now playing at your local bookstore.
1 to 5. Idaho, 5 years to life.
The commercial you've just heard was one of two which won for Van Cristo Associates first prize in the 10th Annual Hatch Awards competition for excellence in radio advertising, sponsored by the Advertising Club of Greater Boston.
Now back to Gangbusters and Commissioner Valentine.
Lieutenant McGrath, Winsome Urban had given instructions to his gang to murder Lou Morgan, the man who led Urban to the $3 million loot. What happened next?
Well, Chicago detectives questioned hundreds of people, Commissioner Valentine, to uncover even the smallest lead to the man who cased the vault for the gang. One of those questioned was the doctor who had his office above the vault. Captain Rogers went there to talk.
I remember every detail, Doctor. As I said, the night watchman has told us he first met this suspect in the hallway, outside, coming out of your office here.
About 10 days ago, you say?
About then, Doctor. The watchman said he was wearing a plaid shirt and a pair of...
I think I do recall him.
Good.
Let me look back at my record. Here. February 2nd, J.L. Smith.
Well, he'd use a phony name.
I'm certain this is the man.
You examined him?
Thoroughly. He complained of feeling sick.
Was he?
If I could find nothing wrong, hypochondriac type.
But tell me, when you were examining him, Doctor, did you notice anything about him? Any peculiar scars or marks?
Oh, yes. He did have a tattoo.
Bathing beauty tattoo.
Where?
The left forearm. I
Good.
noticed the tattoo while taking his pulse.
Yes. Any other marks, Doctor?
An appendectomy.
Good. How about his teeth?
I recall several molars missing. He wore a dental bridge.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
I hope I've been helpful, Captain.
Doctor, you don't know how helpful you've been. This was a professional job. The men involved probably have records. And that tattoo, the appendectomy scar, and the missing teeth are distinctive clues. They may lead us to these criminals.
Identification Bureau to Captain Rogers. Have checked cross-file system for known criminals with 1 bathing beauty tattoo, 2 appendectomy scar, 3 missing molars and dental bridge. Results, 7 known criminals answering general description and having those marks. Sending these criminals' records to your office at once.
I asked you two gentlemen to come here to police headquarters to look at some pictures.
Yes, sir.
Doctor, will you please sit on one side of that table and the watchman on the other?
Good, Captain.
I have here 7 photographs. Doctor, I'm going to hand them to you first. If the man who visited your office is in that group, pick him up.
All right, Captain. Here, Captain. Here's this one.
All right, I'll just make a note of that number. Thank you, Doctor. Now, I'm going to shuffle these same pictures a bit and hand them to the watchman.
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, see if the man who went walking with you on the night of the robbery is any one of these 7 men.
Yes, sir. I'll try, Captain.
Take your time.
It's this one, Captain. I'd know him anywhere. I swear it is.
Here, give me that photograph, please. Yes, sir. Number 45682. Lou Morgan. It seems you gentlemen agree.
I knew him. I know him in a minute.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your cooperation. I'll assign the entire robbery and burglary squad to get a line on this Lou Morgan at once.
Hello?
Urban,
Yeah.
Lou Morgan. I just got back to town, Urban. I hear we did good in our deal.
Good enough.
I hear it was in 7 figures.
Yeah. So what?
Terrific. My commission ready, Urban?
An awful big chunk of dough for you, Morgan.
Well, I get 10%, though. Now you're going to pay off.
Sure, I'm going to pay you off. How about coming around tonight? Boys will be here.
Boys?
Yeah. We're planning a little party.
Party? I don't want no party, Urban.
Don't you want what's coming to you?
I know how you work, Urban. Not doing. I ain't coming around.
I said come around here, Morgan, or I'll send the boys after you.
No, Urban. I don't want no knife in my back. Leave me be. Will you leave me be?
Open up, Morgan. We know you're inside. Open up, Morgan.
Push the door in.
Okay.
You don't seem to be here.
The closet. Keep your gun ready.
Okay, Morgan, come out of that closet or we'll shoot through the door.
Grab him. No. Look, honest, I won't squeal. Tell us, will you? Come to keep the door. I don't want to go, honest. I don't want to go.
Swarming, Morgan.
Look, I don't want to die, please. I don't want to die. Tell everyone I'll hit the road. I don't want to go. See, listen. Hey. Who are you guys? They didn't send you to... You're coppers.
Yes, Morgan, we're police officers. What were you saying about Urban?
Urban? I don't know any such guy.
No? Well, you told us what we want to know, Morgan. Take him downtown, Sergeant.
I got a piece of bad news for you, Urban. Yeah, what? We went to get Lou Morgan. No? The cops got there first. What? Nearly hooked us, too. You got to move fast, Joe. Round up all the boys. Have them at the hotel at 7. I'll meet you there. You split up the balance of the dough and blow. As soon as Morgan sings, Chicago's not going to be so healthy.
Sergeant Thompson speaking.
This is Captain Rogers, Sergeant. You get any more out of Morgan?
Not yet, Captain, but he'll talk in time.
We can't wait, Sergeant. As soon as word of Morgan's arrest spreads, that gang will scatter to the 4 winds. The loot with them.
We'll get Urban, Captain. We'll work day and night until we do.
Well, it's important to recover the loot, too, Sergeant. Hundreds of people have lost their life savings. Now, you check every place Urban's been seen. Couldn't carry $3 million around with him. Must be hidden out someplace. Find it.
Okay, Urban, wake up. Come on, wake up.
Hey, what are you doing?
Hello, Urban.
Joe, Hiya, boys.
Yeah, I brought the boys along. You took this little room 60 miles out of town. Didn't think we could find you, huh?
Look, guys, you got this all wrong.
Yeah, you were supposed to show up at the hotel at 7 o'clock 3 days ago. Instead, you took the dough and skipped.
I'm telling you, Joe, you're wrong. I ain't got the dough.
Remember, Urban, I said I'd be the guy with the sharpest knife?
Cop for getting too close to me. I tried to reach you.
Where's the dough, Urban?
Same place it always was.
Where? Where is it?
You'll get your end in time.
We want it now. Where's the dough, Urban?
If I tell you, you'll grab the $3 million and take a walk with my split.
Where's the dough, Urban?
It's hid good. Hey, what is this? Am I boss of this mob or ain't I?
You ain't, Urban. We're just stalling for time, but we want that dough quick. Go to work on it, boys. Make them tell us where it is.
No, boys. No.
I tell you, Joe, we shouldn't have killed Urban till we got our hands on the dough.
He wasn't lying about the dough being up here in this attic by the pipe.
Are you sure?
After that workout we gave him, Urban wasn't telling no lies to us.
Okay, Joe. You're the boss. For now, anyhow.
All right, you guys. When we go in the attic, no noise, no lights. The door's in a tin box under the floor by a pipe. Now, I don't want myself cut to pieces and dumped in a ditch like Urban. So we split the dough right here. Okay?
Okay.
Open the door. Quiet now. That's the corner over there. Got that crowbar ready?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
sorry, Joe.
Sorry up the floor, boy. Easy now.
You see it yet, Joe?
Not yet. It's here, though.
We shouldn't have knocked Urban off yet.
See? What did I tell you? Here it is. Help me get the box now.
Okay.
What? I said no lights. Who turned them lights on? Nobody turned them on. Who turned them on? Put your hands up, everybody. Coppers. Keep them up. You're trapped. All right, Sergeant. Start putting the cuffs on them.
Right, Captain.
What's this all about?
We found Winchell Urban's body in a ditch near Kankakee a few hours ago.
So what?
And Morgan told us about this house. One of the many places Urban used. When you headed here, it was quite obvious where the loot was hidden. You walked right into our trap.
That Morgan, he'll get what's coming to him between the ribs.
You won't be the ones to give it to him. He's got you red-handed. You're going up for a long, long time.
Lieutenant McGrath, tonight's case is an outstanding example of efficient police work. What happened to Urban's gang?
All 7 of them, Commissioner Valentine, are now serving terms ranging up to life imprisonment.
Congratulations, Lieutenant, to the Chicago Police. Even though this vicious gang staged one of the biggest robberies in criminal records, their loot did them no good, and all they got for their trouble was death or long sentences in prison.
Stay tuned for a new contest on Van Christo Radio Theater. Cyrano de Bergerac may have had the nose that launched 1,000 ships, but this fellow Schnoz became an institution along with the rest of it.
Hey, Jimmy, you look worried. There's something on your mind. I wonder what it is.
Say, I just had an argument with Ziegfeld.
Ziegfeld?
Corner Broadway and 43rd.
Some corner?
You know, Ziegfeld said, do you know who I am? I said, do you know who I am?
What happened?
He said, who I am?
Yeah.
I said nothing. I was cornered.
Cornered?
But it makes no difference what I start out to say.
Why not, Jim?
Why, this is what I wish to convey.
What is it, Jimmy?
Now, you know darn well I can do it out Broadway. But can Broadway do it out me?
No.
Why, Herald Square, Times Square, Columbus Circle, 96. Say, where am I? I must have passed my station.
Why, he's lost.
They must have found out at Times Square that I passed my destination.
Why?
They sent messengers all over to get me to head a celebration.
I get it.
You know, as I got off the express, some yokel pushes me into a local.
What happened?
The crowd, seeing a mistake, pulled the emergency brake and shouted,
Why, there's Jimmy, that well-dressed man.
So you know darn well I can do it out Broadway. But can Broadway do it out me?
No.
Hey, fellas, you remember when Eddie Leonard got sick?
Certainly.
I'll never forget the date.
Neither will I.
I'm sitting home when in comes another telegram which read...
What it read?
The only one who can replace Eddie Leonard is you.
You?
I went, and when I went, and how I went.
He's a winter.
Why, the applause was deafening as I started crooning.
It was, yes, sir. That's my baby. No, sir, I don't mean lady.
No, that's not the song.
What was it, Jimmy boy? What was it?
For I love you, idle dear.
Doc.
Yes, sir. The famous Inka-Dinka-Doo man, Jimmy Durante, back in the days of the Clayton, Jackson, and Durante trio. Can Broadway do without me? Jimmy Durante, just one of the exciting people on this recording, which takes you back to the great moments from old-time radio. Van Christo has just obtained this album, featuring some of old-time radio's most famous stars. Will Rogers, Rudy Valley, Al Jolson, W.C. Fields. It's a living history of some of radio's greatest moments. And you can own this recording for $4.95 in check or money order to Old Time Radio, Van Christo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston 02116. Remember, when you purchase one of these recordings, you not only buy special listening pleasure for yourself, but also help ensure your continued Sunday night enjoyment of the Van Christo Radio Theater as it brings back the great radio shows of the past. Order your record tonight. $4.95 in check or money order to Old Time Radio, Van Christo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston 02116. And now our special new contest, as we promised. Now we're making it easy for you to be eligible to win a free copy of Orson Welles' famous production, The War of the Worlds. Anyone can play the Van Christo Radio Buff game. And last week, Ann Simpson of Buckman Drive in Chelmsford was among those who played, and she won. She'll soon be receiving her copy of The War of the Worlds, Orson Welles' famous radio production of H.G. Wells' classic. To be eligible to win your copy of The War of the Worlds by Orson Welles, all you have to do is send a card with your name and address to Van Christo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston 02116. That's a postcard with your name and address to Van Christo Radio Theater, 18 Newbury Street, Boston 02116. One winner will be drawn from all cards received, and we'll announce the winner's name next Sunday night. But hurry and send your card. That winner might be you.
Gangbusters is a Philip H. Lord production,
which comes to you by special recording every Sunday night at 8 o'clock on Van Christo Radio Theater over WCRB.
Proudly we hail From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the para-pilots of the United States Air Force.
Our story is entitled The Parapilot. This is the story of a parapilot team in Korea, members of the Tactical Air Command, who by an ingenious method direct a knockout punch to enemy ground forces from behind their own lines. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, college men, there's a great new opportunity in your United States Air Force because there's an important new job for aircraft observer officers, men who can apply mathematics to the practical problems of flight, men who can deal with complex equipment and exacting problems. If you've had 2 or more years of college, and if you can qualify for intensive aviation cadet training, the Air Force will give you a year's postgraduate study with pay. Yours will be an important job which can be filled only by the finest young men. Visit your local U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting station today for full details. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly rehailed production, The Parapilot. You know what a parapilot is? A parapilot's a fighter pilot who parachutes to the ground so he can direct airstrikes at enemy ground troops. He jumps into or beyond the front lines. The parapilot is part of TAF, the Tactical Air Force. It's up to TAC, the Tactical Air Command, to provide Air Force cooperation with land, naval, or amphibious forces. In the field, it becomes a Tactical Air Force. And it's the job of the Tactical Air Force to keep enemy planes from attacking our own frontline troops, to cut off enemy ground troops from supplies, reinforcements, and communications, and to knock out enemy guns, troops, or positions which the Army, for one reason or another, cannot get to with their own weapons. In general, this means close-up support of our frontline troops, and practically no one gets any closer than a parapilot team. It's nighttime in Korea. We're at a joint operational center not far below the 38th parallel. Here, ground forces men and Air Force men are hard at work, acting as a team. A message has just come in through the Army control net from the 10th Division that a company of infantry has been cut off on Hill 288.
Another message from Captain Mallett's division, sir. They're still cut off on Hill 288.
Yes, I know. What's the situation there now?
Division says the front will remain relatively quiet for the rest of the night. Company sees pretty well dug in. There's no indication of immediate danger, though the enemy has them completely surrounded. From the buildup in the area, the commanding general, 10th Division, expects the enemy to attack early tomorrow. Looks as though Mallett is outnumbered, at least 5-1.
Hill 288. You can see it on this map. About 100 miles southeast of Pyongyang, just about on the parallel. Part of this spiny ridge that runs generally north and south here.
I've been there. Pretty rugged country. The range of hills, 288 is about the highest.
That's right. Captain Mallet probably had orders to hold Hill 288 if at all possible. That was before his company was cut off. Now, it's probably the safest place for him to be.
Wasn't a relief column sent to help him?
Yes, it was, but it didn't get through. What state are the supplies in, Captain?
Their immediate situation isn't desperate. They have supplies for a short time, but they need relief as soon as possible.
Right. Well, I think we all know the situation now.
Another relief column?
Army G2 says even if they started now, they couldn't get through in time. This is a job for the Air Force. We'll set up a pre-planned close support strike and drop in supplies. Better send a parapilot team in there first. Captain Moore, get a parapilot team here for a briefing right away.
Lieutenant Andrew Schaefer is an experienced tactical pilot with 50 fighter-bomber missions behind him. He's well acquainted with the tactics required to provide accurate close air support. He's 26 years old and comes from Mount Carmel, Illinois. He's been specially trained at Air Ground School in Southern Pines, North Carolina as a parapilot. At Southern Pines, he was teamed with Sergeant Ray Carroll from Keene, New Hampshire, an Air Force radio technician who has received special jump training at Lawson Air Force Base, Georgia. At Lawson, Lieutenant Schaefer and Sergeant Carroll learned jumping techniques, becoming adept at jumping with all the necessary radio equipment from aerial troop transport. These two men constitute a parapilot team.
Okay, Ray, off we go into the wild black yonder.
I was having such a nice dream.
Don't you ever get nervous?
Not me. I figure if the lieutenant thinks he can do it, I guess I can do it, too. And carrying the baby beside.
Yeah, a mighty big baby. They call this VHF radio outfit a portable. Sort of a king-size walkie-talkie, but it's a lot more portable in a plane of Jeep than it is for us to lug around. Yeah, we wouldn't be much good without it, though. I wonder where the idea started, taking fellows like us and making a jump team out of it. I think it was started in North Africa or Italy. They didn't jump then. They had forward air controllers on the ground with and ahead of the troops. How'd you get into it? Volunteered. Never knew I'd end up on a pilot team. It seemed like a good idea. Yeah, well, it is. It is. Take a pilot like me, I know what a fighter bomber can do and what it can't do. Then team a guy like me with a fellow like you who can keep radio communications open, we become an effective air-ground team. Listening to the colonel back there, I got an idea this was a lot like one of the practice jumps we made together down in Georgia. Yeah, well, it's a good thing for us. On our first real jump, we get something that sounds like a tactical problem. I'm not worrying so much about a night jump. Good enough of those. Just hope they're expecting us. Company C, that. Oh, they'll be expecting us. You know, I wish in a way we'd get there and get started. Still, we shouldn't have too much trouble. Like we're here. Yeah. They're ready for us. There's a plane warming up. All right, you take care of the equipment. I'll check in and out. Sure. As the fellow says, here we go again.
The parapilot team, Lieutenant Schaefer and Sergeant Carroll, get themselves checked in and out and get their equipment into the plane that will carry them up to and over the front lines and drop them on Hill 288. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the hill and see how Company C is making out.
Regular as clockwork, aren't they? You notice, Gus? Every 4.5 minutes, they put one of those things in their mortar and lob it over here.
Yeah, I never thought I'd good love rocks so much. The way we were dug in, though, they'd have to blast to get us out of here.
The way the gun's placed, we can knock off anything trying to come up this hill, as long as the ammo holds out. Watch it.
Take it easy there, Mac. You start shooting all the boulders around here, and we'll be sitting with an empty gun before you know it.
Honest, Gus, I thought it was moving. When do you think our help will get here? I heard help was coming.
I don't know. We usually get what we need one way or another. You know, Mac, when I first set eyes on this hill, I wouldn't give you a nickel for it. Now I'm getting sort of fond of it. I've been in a lot worse places.
I guess if we had enough supplies, we could stay here forever.
Well, that's the brass's worry, not mine. Our worry, yours and mine, is that open space there in front of us. If we can keep that there clear, that's all we can do. Captain and the others, it's up to them to keep us supplied, and I guess they will. They always do.
I don't see how they can do it this time. They're in time. Oh, there's another flare. Is that one of ours? It's right in the same spot. They must be digging quite a hole there.
Yeah, that's all right with me, just as long as they don't change their range or elevation. The hole is there, not here.
Another one. They're all off their schedule without notifying us. Is that polite?
Well, maybe they went on daylight saving time all of a sudden.
Or maybe that came from a different mortar. Well, we're getting close. Funny, I always have the feeling when we drop a flare, we're making ourselves a perfect target. Yeah, with all that light, you think they must be able to see it from the ground. Yeah. You know, the ground can't see through that light, though. You notice back there where we dropped those two flares, that small cut between those two hills? Sure. Enemy gun emplacements in the valley would be in perfect position to keep anything from coming up that road. You have to get through that cut to get up front. Yeah. Were you thinking what I was? That I was, Lieutenant. The guns can be seen by our fighter bombers. Maybe we could bomb and silence them. And then a tank-led column could get past the smaller guns and clean them out. All right, mark those coordinates on the grid, huh? I already marked the positions, sir. Yeah, see? Here? Yeah. Every place to put an X right here on grid queen. Coordinates 35, 20, and 33, 21. Right. Now, I think we've got it. Wait a minute. I guess the pilot wants to talk to us.
We're over Hill 288 now. We're requesting of circling beyond. We'll drop more flares so you can see the rest of the terrain.
Right. Light up the place for a long time, don't they? Sure. The flares seem to drop slower in their parachutes than we do in ours. Hey, look, there they go. 1, 2. 2 of them. You say they couldn't see through the light to shoot at us from the ground? That I did. Yeah, well, maybe they can't with their radar. You see the troops? You got them spotted?
Yeah, spotted and marked down. What's this, more flags?
Yeah, well, we're being given the grand tour around Hill 288 in 6 minutes or something while they drop the airlift with supplies and ammo.
It looks like troops there. In there?
Yeah, another couple of flares. All right, mark those troop positions, huh?
Okay. I got them spotted and marked. Boy, they really are surrounded, aren't they?
Yeah, well, you needn't say they. Pretty soon it'll be we.
Us. Well, us, we, whatever you want to call it.
While you're still with me, I think I'll take a look-see up ahead, see if we can spot the build-up and location.
Oh, fine. The more we know, the more we can do.
There's something moving down there. Looks like a convoy traveling without lights. Can't be sure, but I swear something's going on. We'll see in a second. I just dropped the flare.
What?
Yeah. Hey, it's a convoy, all right. A long one. Moving slow. Must be 40 trucks, maybe more.
Catch that?
Yeah, we certainly did. From what we saw, I'd say at a guess those are the supplies for the attack they hope to make on Hill 288. There's still a couple of hours from getting there, though, at the rate they're moving and on the road they've got to take.
However fast they are, they're slowed down now. Stopped when we dropped their flares. Takes them a little while to get them straight down, or they're more efficient than we are, which I doubt. We're turning back now. We'll be over our target in a few minutes.
Oh, fine, thanks. Well, we're set, aren't we?
Yes, sir. Set as we'll ever be, I guess.
Hey, look, am I that good an example? Can't you even look frightened?
Me?
Yeah.
If you want to know the truth, I'm scared to death. Poor jump I owe it.
Well, that's good. That makes me feel better. But you don't show it.
Well, I can't. Remember? Not when you look so calm.
All right. Now, look, we land together with our equipment.
It's like the night jump that lost an airbase.
Right now. All right, there go our flares. I'll go first.
After you, sir.
We're slowed down to jump speed. You can see everything. Jump one at a time on signal. In about 10 seconds.
Anytime you say, we're all set. One at a time.
I'll signal for you. Good luck.
Thanks. Oh, and thanks for the lift, too. I'll do the same for you someday.
Not if I can help it, bud. All right, now. Steady. 5, 4, 3, 2. Jump 1. Jump 2.
You are listening to the proudly we hail production, The Parapilot. We'll return in just a moment for the second act. America's finest young men are getting into the blue of the United States Air Force. If you're interested in your share of democracy, your future in a free world, and in the exciting life of a pilot or aircraft observer, see if you can qualify for training as an aviation cadet. If you're between 19 and 26 and a half years of age, have at least 2 years of college, are single and in good physical condition, see your Army and Air Force recruiter about your future in the United States Air Force Aviation Cadet Program. For full information, visit your nearest U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force recruiting station today. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of The Parapilot.
Carol, you all right? Yeah, I'm happy to hear. It's the brightest flame, I think. Oh, glad to be on the ground.
Yeah, now we gotta get in touch with Company C.
All right. If you want to get in touch with anybody except St. Peter, I'd sort of move if I was you.
All right. Which way, though? Which way?
But fast. There's a mortar on one of the hills. There keeps lobbing shells in right about where you are every 4.5 minutes, and they haven't sent one for about 3 hours.
Right. We're coming. Just about room here for us. But you're welcome.
Try to squeeze in.
Thanks. What's that thing?
A portable two-way radio transmitter.
I live and breathe a walkie-talkie coming right out of the sky. I was hoping for ammunition and reserves. When I saw you guys coming, I figured they were sending paratroopers to help us. What do we get? A couple of flyboys.
I take it this is part of Company C.
Sure is. Well, I want to try to contact the Tactical Air Control Party of 10th Division and check in.
You better wait a second.
Why? See? Right on schedule.
Right where we were standing. Oh, thanks. Think nothing of it, my friend.
Yeah. We ought to be able to do this on battery.
Yeah, sure, Lieutenant. This should be brief. Any time now. Antenna's up.
Junker 1 from Destination Able.
Jumper 1 from Destination Able, calling Peter Obo.
Come in, Jumper 1. This is Peter Obo standing by.
Jumper 1 reporting. We're on Destination Able. Stand by for further report.
Standing by.
Roger. Jumper 1 out.
Well, now I've seen everything. Is that gadget cooked, too? I could use a hamburger, plenty onion.
Pickling, really, for me. No onion.
Got a date?
Don't I wish I did. Hey, this is Captain Jeep. Thought somebody would come looking for you. They'll take you back. Drop in again any time. Don't bother to ring.
Thank you. We'll do that. Yeah, just bring a blonde next time. You like a cozy little place that is fixed up, right?
Oh, it's got to be a blonde, though.
Speaking for myself, no. We'll leave that to you.
Okay, come on, Ray. We better go see the captain. Right. We're back on the ground again. We go by Jeep.
So, that's the way it is. From the reports we were getting from our scouts, if they weren't planning a night infiltration, I'd have been surprised.
I'd been wondering about that, Captain Mallon.
Yeah, it's their usual tactic. I had a feeling they would try it just about the time you arrived. It's quite likely your flares threw them off.
Or maybe they were waiting for that convoy we saw to arrive.
Or they may have thought the convoy would be close enough so they could count on it, and it wasn't. Well, whatever it was, all indications were they'd attack, and they didn't.
Yeah, I remember.
If they had attacked, we could have beaten them off. I'm confident of that. But we couldn't have done it indefinitely. My men are tired, our forces are limited, and we need more supplies. 90%. Makes me feel a lot more secure.
Well, I think we know the situation now. We'll send back our report. It'll be getting light in a little while. I think they'll attack then under any conditions, unless we can hit them first and keep them off balance.
The parapilot team of Lieutenant Schaefer and Sergeant Carroll report by radio. Their message was picked up several miles back by the air controller of the TACP, consisting of a small mobile unit, a Jeep containing receiving, transmitting, and generating equipment.
Jumper 1 calling Peter Obo from Destination Able. Jumper 1 calling Peter Obo.
Go ahead, Jumper 1. This is Peter Obo.
Company C surrounded on Destination Able. Quit the time being. Ammunition short. Do you read?
Go ahead, Jumper 1. Read you loud and clear.
There's an enemy convoy bringing up supplies. 45 minutes ago, it was across the plain on the far side of Penguin Hill. South of here, on Grid Queen, are gun emplacements that probably stopped our relief convoy earlier. There are 5 mortars on Hills 178 and 171, Grid Peter. You'll probably need some close support strafing attacks.
Right. We'll relay your message.
Roger. Jumper 1 standing by for further instructions. Jumper 1 out.
Relay that message from our parapilot team on Hill 288 back to JOC through your Army Net 3 at once. Urgent.
Now the situation is in the hands of Colonel Bingham and the other experts at the Joint Operational Center. The different aspects of the problem are discussed and plans are jointly agreed on. The group at the center awaits results and considers new reports as they come in. Dawn is beginning to break, sending fingers of light probing over an unhappy, war-torn land. A squadron of F-84 fighter bombers, Thunderjets, have started out for Hill 288, now listening for word on their radios from Lieutenant Schaefer, the air-ground controller. Schaefer and Sergeant Carroll, after informing Company C that a squadron of fighter bombers is being dispatched to help, go back to take up their frontline positions.
Hiya, Mac. We're back again. You're sitting at the phone. Just drop in.
No, we told you to bring a blind.
I told Captain Mallow we'd set up near you and use your field phone to contact him. I thought you boys had about the best observation post on the hill. Thought maybe we'd dig in near you. Not too close, though. I don't like your 4.5-minute mortar, nor your own machine gun. It makes too much noise for our purposes.
Yeah, it's a pretty good spot right here. Good view and a certain amount of protection from the rear.
What's going to happen?
Well, in a few minutes, a squadron of F-84 should appear. We get in touch with them by radio, tell them what to hit and where. I better get over to my litter transmitter, get to work. I'll see you later.
You better get your pals here soon.
It's an unavoidable part of the parapilot's job that to be effective, he must be in a position to observe the enemy. And in order to observe the enemy, It's almost impossible not to be observed. Because their portable transmitter signal has a limited range, and because of the speed at which the planes will come, there'll be little time before the Thunderjets are over their target once radio contact has been established.
Jumper 1 calling Foxtrot, Blue Leader. Jumper 1 calling Foxtrot, Blue Leader. Do you read?
Anything yet?
No, nothing. Wonder where they can be. Wait a minute. They're coming in now. The map's all laid out?
Yeah, everything's right here.
Jumper 1 calling Foxtrot, Blue Leader. You're coming in faintly. We're on Hill 288, Grid Peter. Coordinates 1843. That's 18-43.
Read you now, Jumper 1. Grid Peter, 18-43.
This is Jumper 1. Enemy convoy of about 40 trucks just south of Penguin Hill.
Roger, Jumper 1.
Jumper 1. Now, Grid Queen. Gun emplacements well dug in, stopping our tank column. On eastern side, Hill 178, western side, Hill 161. Grid Queen coordinates 3520 and 3321. Can you see them?
Roger, Jumper 1. Queen 35-20 and 33-21. Don't have them in sight. Correction. Have them spotted. Blue Leader to white flight. Stop that convoy with rockets, then straight. Go ahead, Jumper 1. White flight will take care of convoy.
Jumper 1 to Foxtrot, Blue Leader. New enemy attack beginning down here. Enemy troops in 5 main concentrations. Do you have napalm?
Roger, Jumper 1. We have napalm.
Attack is coming from Grid Peter 12-47. There's a tree halfway down the hill. Do you see it, Blue Leader?
Roger. Have 3 spotted.
That's where we want the napalm.
Jumper 1 have instructed one flight, which has spotted gun emplacements, to dive bomb those positions. Circle back to cover my flight while we're napalming.
Lieutenant, I think that took him completely by surprise.
I'd like to get those mortars, too.
I've been tracing their trajectory. I think I got them all spotted. Here, the mark here.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Captain Marlowe's calling. Yes, Captain. They did. Yeah, looks pretty good here, too. Okay, I'll tell him.
I think that strike knocked out or disrupted the main groups on the ground.
Yeah.
The ones who'd already started. Look at them. Still coming.
All right, how was that? Blue flight still has rockets. What now?
You can make your strafing attacks on the north side of the hill. Hit the attackers coming up with machine guns.
Roger. Have them spotted. Tally ho.
Slow up their attack.
I think it's busted up for good right now.
We still have our rockets. Any more targets?
Well, if we can get those mortars that are hitting around us, there seem to be 5 of them. About Grid Peter 46-59, 48-66, 49-46, 10-62, and 13-64.
Roger. Marking their positions. We should be able to see them as we come in. Will do, Jumper 1. Blue Leader to other flight leaders. Form up over Hill 288. Give us top cover while we straighten the mortars.
Lieutenant, I think the planes have conked them mortars. First time in a long while I felt free to walk away from a gun.
Oh, good. I don't think you'll see much movement there for quite a while. Well, I better give the leader a call. Blue Leader, this is Jumper 1. Thanks for a fine show.
Roger, Jumper 1. Fighters returning to base.
Right. Thanks.
Lieutenant, I want to say thanks, too. Funny thing, though, we go all over the world. here we are, three of us. Guess I'll have to treat you sort of a neighbor then. Besides, you boys, well, we're in a lot better position than I thought we'd be. I mean, we've still got supplies left, thanks to the airdrop, and not much of the enemy. Not right here, anyway.
Yeah, it's been about 6 minutes. I think we quieted that mortar, too.
Gus, the machine gunner from Company C, can kid that they're sort of neighbors. But what he was really talking about was teamwork. Teamwork and partnership that doesn't depend on latitude or longitude. The kind of teamwork that comes from people with the same kind of training and basic ideals. Whether they were born in Maine or California, in Minnesota or Texas. The kind of teamwork that sent the parapilot team to Hill 288, that sent for the F-84s to break up the enemy air attack, that shot up the enemy convoy bringing reinforcements, that cleared up those annoying mortars behind the next hills, that blasted the big gun emplacements so that a relief column could get through, and Company C could go back behind the lines for a well-deserved rest. Proudly we hail the Parapilots, a highly trained unit of the Tactical Air Force, and all the officers and men of the USAF Air Ground Operations School, whose training makes this kind of successful teamwork possible. Here's a message from your United States Air Force to you. You have a chance to join the key men on the Air Force's flying team as an aircraft observer. Yes, you can be one of the men who plots the sky tracks of the heavy bombers and the big transports if you look ahead now while you're in college. Here's what you can do. You can take a year's training with pay, and after graduation as an aviation cadet, become a flying officer team member with the silver wings of an aircraft observer. But can you qualify? You can if you're between 19 and 26 and a half, single, are in good physical condition, of high moral standards, and have had 2 or more years of college training. For full information, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and the United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in this same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Now, once again, we find ourselves in Dr. Watson's comfortable book-lined study. A blazing log crackles cheerily on the hearth. A cordial smile of welcome beams on the good doctor's friendly countenance.
Well, good evening, Mr. Bell. Sit down, sit down.
Thank you. It isn't often you find such a perfect combination as this. Cozy room, cheerful fire, comfortable armchair. Not to mention an expert storyteller.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. You're very kind.
A setup like this takes your mind off your worries and troubles. So don't be surprised if I just sit back and relax and let you carry on.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I've always said there's nothing like a good detective story for mental recreation. Most of our great men of affairs have been addicted to them, you know. Presidents, prime ministers, scientists, and businessmen.
And the Sherlock Holmes adventures still head the list of all detective stories. What's it going to be tonight?
Well, tonight, as I said last week, I'm going to tell you about the greatest shock that Sherlock Holmes ever gave me.
The greatest shock? It must have been some voltage.
You'll find that out, Mr. Bell, as soon as you had your little talk with our listeners.
Good. Men, well-groomed hair helps so much in giving a man that prosperous, clean-cut appearance. And I'm sure you'll be interested to hear why Kreml Hair Tonic is preferred among America's top-flight executives by men at the top. Kreml never plasters the hair down with sticky goo, which makes your hair and scalp feel so dirty. It never gives hair that old-fashioned, greasy, patent leather look. You see, Kreml is a very highly specialized hair tonic. It contains a unique and utterly different combination of hair grooming ingredients that's never been duplicated in any other hair tonic. That's why Kreml keeps unruly hair so neatly in place longer, with such a handsome, healthy-looking luster. What I especially like about Kreml is that after you use it, you can run your hand back over your hair and your hair never feels sticky or dirty. No greasy film comes off on your hand or your hatband. Yet Kreml keeps hair in perfect order from morning till night, looking so healthy and handsome. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the greatest shock Sherlock Holmes ever gave you?
Well, it was in the second year of my married life. I hadn't seen Holmes for almost a month due to having successfully resumed my medical practice. When one day I received an urgent note from Mrs. Hudson.
Mrs. Hudson, she was Holmes' landlady in Baker Street.
She certainly was, and a long-suffering woman she was, too. Why she stood for Holmes, I never could fathom. His habits were calculated to try the patience of a saint. Yes, he was easily the worst tenant in London, and yet Mrs. Hudson adored him.
A case of the king can do no wrong.
Exactly, and yet she stood in the deepest awe of him and never dared interfere, however dangerous his proceedings might seem. So you can imagine my feelings when our note said that Mr. Holmes was in a dreadful state, and she considered it serious enough to disobey his commands and to send for me. Well, I snatched my hat and medical case and set out for Baker Street post-haste. A terrified Mrs. Hudson greeted me on the doorstep, her face stained with tears.
Oh, Dr. Watson, thank God you got my note. Come in, sir, come in.
Well, Mrs. Hudson, what's up? What's happened to Mr. Holmes?
Oh, Dr. Watson, it's terrible. Just to see him lying there like that. I can't stand it any longer. He's breaking my heart.
No, Mrs. Hudson, this won't do. You know, pull yourself together. What's the matter with Mr. Holmes?
Oh, he's dying.
What?
Yes, sir. For 3 days he's been sinking. Hasn't taken a mouthful of food. I doubt if he'll last a day out.
Well, why didn't you send for me before?
He wouldn't let me. Oh, you know what he's like, Dr. Watson, when he's got his mind set against anything.
Yes, indeed I do.
But this morning, when I went in and saw him there, his bones sticking out of his face, his great eyes all bright with fever, and his lips with that awful crust on them, and his hands twitching and twitching, I couldn't stand it any longer. I couldn't stand by and watch him die, could I? I thought to myself, orders or no, I'm sending for you.
Yes, I should hope so.
So I said to him, but Mr. Holmes, this is an extremity. He didn't say anything. I don't think he even heard me, Doctor. He's out of his head most of the time, croaking and moaning to himself. Oh, Dr. Watson, it's a pitiful sight. Poor Mr. Holmes.
No. Perhaps it's not as bad as you think. I pray heaven it's not. Well, I'll go out and see what's to be done.
Oh, yes, sir. But I'm afraid he's not long for this world. Poor Mr. Holmes.
No, Mrs. Hudson, you pull yourself together. He mustn't know how you feel about him. It'd upset him. He hates to be pitied. I'd better go in alone.
Yes, sir.
Holmes? I say, Holmes.
I doubt if he can hear you, sir. You better go right in.
Very well.
Oh.
Good heavens. He is sick.
Oh, Dr. Watson, you must save him.
Mrs. Hudson, you stay outside.
Running round and round in a circle. Faster. He's catching up to us.
Holmes, old fellow, it's me.
Eh?
Holmes, it's me, Watson. Don't you know me?
Watson? Oh, yes. I seem to remember. Watson, of course. So she sent for you after all. I wondered how long she could hold out.
Holmes. My poor fellow.
Yes, we seem to have fallen on evil days. Hey, Watson? Never thought you'd see me in this shape, did you? Oh, I pallbearer at your funeral, and now look at me.
It's all right, old chap. We'll fix you up. Have you about again in no time. Just let me take your pulse.
Stand back, Watson, stand back. If you really are alive, don't touch me. Don't touch me.
But why?
Because I wish it. Isn't that enough?
Well, I only wanted to help.
Then do as I say. I know what's wrong with me. I'm the only man in London who does it. It's a terrible disease and contagious. That's it, Watson. Contagious. By touch. So keep your distance or you'll catch it, too.
Great heavens, Holmes, do you suppose that matters to me at a time like this? It wouldn't affect me in the case of a stranger. Do you imagine it'd prevent me from doing my duty to my best friend?
Dad, Watson, it's out of your power. You could do nothing. You stand where you are. I'll talk. You mustn't excite me. It might be fatal.
Very well. I must, but what is this sickness?
A colic disease from Sumatra. Only a few men understand it. I contracted it down along the docks from the Oriental sailors. I've been doing some recent research down there. It had a medico-criminal aspect. Very interesting, Watson. Very interesting. Asiatic diseases, Asiatic crude, strange pathological possibilities. But water doesn't run uphill. It's funny, hey, Watson. Water, you can't write in water. I've tried, but you can't.
Holmes, you're not yourself. A sick man is like a child. You could be master elsewhere, but when it comes to the sick room, it's time for me to take charge. I'm going to examine your symptoms and treat you.
Stop it. If I'm going to have a doctor, at least get me one I can trust.
Holmes, don't you trust me?
As a friend, certainly, but facts are facts. You're just a general practitioner, not very much knowledge or experience, and very often muddled. Yes, decidedly muddled.
Holmes, that remark is unworthy of you. It shows the state of your nerves.
Very well. What do you know about Tapanuli fever? Or the Black Formosa corruption?
Well, I've never heard of either of them.
You see?
Very well, let me call in Dr. Ainstree. He's the greatest living authority on tropical diseases, and he happens to be in London now. I can get him here inside half an hour if you'll just...
No, I won't have him. I'm the one who's sick. I'll be cured my way or not at all. There's only one man who can save me. Oh, dear, I'm exhausted. I wonder how a battery feels when it pours electricity into a non-conductor.
Holmes, you're wandering again. Let me at least pour you a glass of water. What a mess this table is in.
Don't want water. Give me the moon.
Hello? What's this curious little ivory box? I've never seen that before.
Don't touch it, Watson. Don't touch it.
But Holmes...
It's mine. I won't have it touched. Give it to me. Handle it with tongs. Like this. That's better. It's mine.
Yeah.
Mine.
Holmes. Get back to bed this instant. And give me that box.
No, you can't have it. It's mine. I'm going to take it to bed with me. It's mine. My own little ivory box. Nobody shall take it from me.
Very well. Now, keep covered up. That's better. You'll kill yourself if you aren't careful.
Watson. I say, Watson.
Yes?
Have you any change in your pocket?
Yes?
Any silver?
A good deal.
How many half-crowns?
Half-crowns, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 5.
Not enough, Watson, not enough. However, they'll have to do. Place them in your watch pocket, Watson.
Very well.
Now, put the rest of your money in your left-hand trousers pocket. Thank you.
Yes, but why?
It will balance you so much better that way.
Holmes, this is the end. You're wondering. You're delirious. I'm going to get Ainstree or the man you mentioned. I don't care which.
Very well. If you must, let it be Mr. Culverton Smith.
Culverton Smith? I never heard of him.
Possibly not, Watson. It may surprise you to know that the only man on earth who understands this disease isn't a medical man. He's a planter.
A planter?
Yes, millionaire rubber planter. An outbreak of this malady on his plantation in Sumatra caused him to study the disease. He's now in London.
Good. What's his address?
13 Lower Burke Street.
13 Lower Burke Street. Very well. I'll fetch him at once.
I warn you, he may not come. There's no good feeling between us. His nephew died, you see, Watson. I had suspicions of foul play. I told his uncle so. The boy died horribly. You must soften him, Watson. Describe my condition. Beg him. Pray him. Get in here by any means. He's the only one who can save me. You will bring him to me, Watson.
Don't worry, old fella. I'll bring him here. Have to knock him unconscious to do it.
No, you must persuade him to come. But be sure to return ahead of him. Not with him, Watson. Ahead of him, you understand?
Very well.
It's vital, Watson, vital. One thing more.
Yes?
I'm worried about oysters, Watson.
What?
Why
oysters?
They're so prolific. Pretty soon the world will be overrun by oysters.
Oh, Holmes, you're off again.
There was I. Strange how the brain controls the brain. You still here, Watson? I thought you'd gone long ago.
I'm going at once. I'll be back in no time. If you want anything, ring for Mrs. Hudson.
First, the ocean will be overrun with millions of them, millions of oysters.
Oh, Dr. Watson, how is he? Here's Mr. Lestrade of Scotland Yard. He dropped in to inquire about Mr. Holmes.
Hello, Dr. Watson. How do things stand? How's the old boy?
He's a very sick man, I'm afraid, Lestrade.
Yes, I heard some rumor to that effect.
Lestrade, you're a cold-blooded fish.
Possibly. But I think I'll stay around until you return. How about a dish of tea in the back parlor? Hey, Mrs. Hudson.
Oh, you. Speaking of tea at a time like this, I'm ashamed of you. With Mr. Holmes lying upstairs practically on his deathbed. All right, I'll bring you a cup. But I hope it chokes you, that I do.
9, 11, 13. Here we are. Suppose he's not at home. He must be. He must be.
Yes, sir?
Is Mr. Calverton Smith in?
Yes, sir.
Will you take my card in to him at once and tell him it's urgent?
Yes, sir, but he's in his study working. He don't like to be disturbed.
But it's a matter of life and death, don't you understand? I must see him. Here. Perhaps this will help.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'll do my best. Will you step inside, sir? I won't be a minute. A gentleman to see you, Mr. Smith, sir. Says it's urgent.
Who is he? What does he want?
Here's his card, sir.
Watson? Dr. Watson? I don't know him. How often have I told you, Staples, I'm not to be disturbed when I'm working in my study?
But he says he must see you. It's a matter of life and death, he says.
Tell him to go to blazes. I'm not at home. I won't see him. Tomorrow morning...
Oh, but you must, sir. It can't wait. I won't leave until I've told you the whole...
What's this? What's the meaning of this intrusion? I said tomorrow, didn't I?
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, but I must see you now. It's about Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes? Sherlock Holmes, did you say?
Yes, I've just come from him.
Well, what about Holmes?
He's desperately ill, dying. That's why I've come to you.
Holmes dying? Oh, dear. I'm sorry to hear it. I only know him through some business dealings, of course, but I have a great respect for his talents and his character. You see, he is an amateur of crime, as I am of disease. For him, the villain. For me, the microbe. Yes, I believe my offenders are even more deadly than his.
Mr. Smith, it was because of your special knowledge of Eastern diseases that Sherlock Holmes has sent for you.
Eastern diseases? Eastern diseases, dear me. Don't tell me that he's contracted some Oriental disease.
Yes, Mr. Smith. He's been making some professional inquiries on the docks, working among the Oriental sailors.
Oh, so that's it. Oh, dear, I trust the matter is not as grave as you suppose. How long has he been ill?
About 3 days.
Delirious?
Yes, from time to time.
Oh, dear me, this does sound serious. Yes, it would be inhuman not to go to his aid, wouldn't it? The case is certainly exceptional. I'll come with you at once, Dr. Watson.
With me? Well, you see that... I'm afraid I can't return with you, sir. I have some other appointments, patients that I must see. I'll see you later.
Oh, yes, I quite understand. I'll go alone. Oh, yes, that would be better in any case. We must avoid too much excitement, too many people. Yes, Dr. Watson, you can rely on my being with Mr. Holmes within half an hour.
In just a moment, we'll return to Sherlock Holmes and find out if Mr. Culverton Smith is able to cure the detective's strange malady. But first, More and more men today are beginning to realize they should take better care of the hair they've got. Remember, if you want your hair to look healthy and handsome, you need a hygienic scalp. So why settle for just any hairdressing when you can enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml Hair Tonic? Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic keeps dry, stubborn hair neatly in place all day long and always gives it such a natural, well-groomed appearance, never sticky or greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. A quick massage with Kreml stimulates circulation right in the surface of the scalp, leaving your scalp feeling so alive, so invigorated. At the same time, Kreml removes loose dandruff. It's excellent to lubricate a dry scalp. And if your hair is so dry that it breaks and falls when you comb it, remember Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable. So men, buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Ask for an application at your barber shop. Use Kreml to keep your scalp more hygienic, your hair always looking its very best. Kreml. Kreml Hair Tonic. Well, Dr. Watson, I see what you meant by the greatest shock Sherlock Holmes ever gave you. And I can hardly wait to hear the rest of the story. What happened after you'd seen Mr. Culver?
Well, I hurried back to Baker Street as fast as I could, just as Holmes had instructed me to. Mrs. Hudson met me at the door. Any change, Mrs. Hudson? Has anything happened while I was gone?
No, Dr. Watson. He called me in to light the gas a few minutes ago. He wanted it up full. He says it hurts his eyes.
How did he look?
Oh, a little better, I should say. He's awful weak, but he's not delirious anymore.
Good. Where's Lestrade?
Oh, he's about somewhere. Down in the kitchen, annoying the cook, most likely. I never did see such a man for eating.
Heartless brute. Well, I'll go up to Mr. Holmes. Here I am, Holmes.
Did you see him?
Yes, he's coming.
Admirable, Watson. Admirable. I knew I could count on you. What did you tell him?
I told him about the sailors in the East End and that you were delirious.
Quite right. Yes. You can now disappear from the scene.
What? I'll do no such thing. I'm going to wait and hear his opinion.
So you shall, Watson, so you shall, but not where he can see you. There's no hiding place in the room except the space behind the head of my bed. Suppose you crawl in there.
Crawl in there?
Watson, I'm a sick man. I must be human. It's got to be behind the bed or not at all. I don't want you discussing the case over my dead, inert body. You can hear what he says perfectly from your hiding place. Oh, there he is now. What's it to be, Watson? Behind the bed or out of the room?
Oh, very well, if you insist. I'll wedge myself in there. There's not much room in here.
Quick, Watson, quick if you love me.
Oh, it's a tight fit. I can't move a muscle.
Good. Don't speak. Don't move. Whatever happens, don't budge. Just listen. Listen to every word. Don't move. Don't move.
It's a gentleman by the name of Smith, Mr. Holmes. He says you sent for him.
It's all right. I understand the case. You can leave us.
Yes, sir.
Oh. So there you are, my fine fellow. Pretty bad fix, eh?
Oh.
Holmes. Oh. Holmes, can you hear me? It's me, Smith.
You? I hardly dared hope you'd come.
I should think not. But here I am. Coals of fire, Holmes, huh? Coals of fire.
Very good. Very noble of you. You're the only man who can save me.
You realize that, eh? Do you know what is the matter with you?
The same thing that killed your nephew.
Yes, dear Victor. He was dead on the fourth day. Strong, hearty fellow he was, too. Surprising that you should both contract such a strange, out-of-the-way disease in the heart of London. A disease, too, of which I had made a special study. Very smart of you to notice that in Victor's case, but rather uncharitable to suggest that it was cause and effect.
Oh, I knew that you did it.
Oh, you did you? Well, you can't prove it. You've got a fine nerve, spreading reports like that about me, and then crawling to me for help when you're in trouble.
Don't hold it against me. Let bygones be bygones. I'll put it out my head. Only cure me, and I'll forget it.
Forget what?
About Victor Savage's death. You've as good as admitted it, but I'll forget it. I swear I will.
It'll make little difference whether you forget or remember. You'll never see the inside of a witness box. Oh, no, quite another shaped box, my dear Holmes, I assure you. I'm not interested in my nephew anymore. It's you I'm after. So, you think you contracted this disease among the sailors, eh?
That's the only way I can account for it.
And you think you have brains. Consider yourself smart, don't you? Well, I'm smarter than you are, Mr. Holmes. Think back. Think back. Can't you remember any other way you could have got this thing?
I can't think. My mind's gone. For heaven's sake, help me.
Yes, I'm going to help you. I want you to understand how this happened to you. I want you to know before you die.
Oh, it's terrible. Give me something to stop the pain.
Oh, so now it's painful, eh? Yes, the natives used to do some squealing toward the end. Now listen. Can't you remember any unusual incident in your life just before your symptoms began?
No, nothing.
Something came by post. Remember that?
I'm too sick to remember.
I'll help you. You hear me? You shall hear me.
Yes, the pain, it's killing
You
me.
remember a box? A little ivory box. It came by post on Wednesday. Do you remember?
Yes, it had a spring inside. I cut myself. It drew blood. It was a joke.
That was no joke, you fool. That spring was covered with the germs of this disease. Who asked you to cross my path? You've got what was coming to you. I sent that box, and it has killed you.
I remember. The box, the little ivory box. There it is on the table.
So it is. Yes, by George, the very one. Well, it may as well leave the room in my pocket. Here, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Here goes your last shred of evidence.
You can have it, only save me. Save me.
Now, at last, you know the truth. You know I've killed you. You knew so much about the fate of Victor Savage that I've sent you to share it.
Now what you going to do?
Do, Mr. Sherlock Holmes? Why, now I shall sit here and watch you die.
I can hardly see the light. Turn up the gas.
The shadows begin to fall, do they? Very well. I'll turn it up so that I may see you better. There. Uh-huh. And now, is there any other little service I can do for you, my friend?
Yes, you can give me a match and a cigarette.
What's the meaning of this? You're not sick? You've been malingering. You're not sick at all.
Not sick, just weak. Yes, the best way to act a part is to be it. I give you my word that for 3 days I haven't touched food, drink, nor tobacco. It has been rather irksome. Yes, here are the cigarettes. That's better. Very much better.
I hope it chokes you. I've a mind to do it myself.
Not so vindictive, my dear Mr. Smith. I fancy I hear Lestrade's step on the stair. When you turned up the light, that was his signal to come and get you.
Well, you...
Come in, Lestrade, come in.
Now, you've trapped him, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, here's your man. You can arrest him.
On what charge, may I ask?
The murder of one Victor Savage.
And the attempted murder of one Sherlock Holmes. Take him away, Lestrade. Take him away.
Oh, no, you don't. I'll knock your head in.
Look out, Lestrade.
It's all right, Mr. Holmes. I've got the handcuffs on him.
A nice trap this is, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It'll bring you to the dot, not me. You asked me to come here to cure you. I was sorry for you, so I came, and now you make charges against me. Insane charges for which you have no proof. My word is as good as yours, Holmes. Remember that?
Good heavens, I'd totally forgotten. My dear Watson, 1,000 apologies. You can come out now.
About time, too. I'm just about numb, crouching behind there all this time.
Mr. Smith, allow me to present my witness, Dr. Watson. I'm sure he found your conversation most enlightening.
Well, that settles that. Come on, you. Keep moving.
Well, you're pulling my leg. The spring didn't really prick you, did it, Holmes?
No. Well, you see, my dear Watson, a thing you have to understand is that neither you nor Mrs. Hudson are particularly convincing when it comes to acting. So it was necessary to impress you with the reality of my condition in order to obtain results. And then, you may believe that I pooh-poohed your professional ability, but you can put that down as a part of the delirium. I have the highest regard for your talents, both as a doctor and as an historian.
Oh, now you're pulling my leg. Look here. You didn't, as I said, really get prick with that spring, did you?
Oh, certainly not. I always handle strange packages with suspicion.
Well, what I want to know is how you managed to assume that ghastly appearance.
3 days of fasting does not improve anyone's beauty, Watson. For the rest, a bit of Vaseline on the forehead, belladonna on the eye, rouge on the cheekbones, and a crust of beeswax on the lips all produce a rather satisfactory effect. Only, I couldn't afford to let you get too good a look at it.
I'll take your pulse and temperature.
Quite. And now, if you will tell Mrs. Hudson that her invalid has recovered sufficiently to desire a large steak with plenty of fried onions. I've been promising it to myself for hours.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Watson will be back in just a moment to tell us about next week's story. But first, girls, many of those beautiful Powers models come out here to Hollywood to become movie stars. And I must say one can't help but be impressed with their gorgeous, lustrous hair. Now, here's how they keep it so shining bright.
Powers models use Kreml shampoo. This amazingly beautifying shampoo has been especially developed to actually glamour bathe each tiny strand of hair, revealing all its natural glossy luster and highlight.
Yes, and remember, Kreml shampoo is wonderful for washing children's hair, too.
Most emphatically, yes, because there are no harsh caustics or chemicals in Kreml shampoo. And its luxurious active foam thoroughly cleanses the scalp and hair of all loose dandruff as well as the dirt.
Girls, if you could only see how beautiful Powers model's hair radiates natural glossy highlights, I'm sure you'd want to try Kreml shampoo right away. Remember, no other shampoo leaves the hair more shining bright and sparkling clean. Get a bottle at any drug counter. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. Now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, next week I think I'll tell you about the strange case of the persecuted millionaire.
Persecuted millionaire? It sounds intriguing, Dr. Watson.
It was, Mr. Bell. In fact, I don't believe that Sherlock Holmes and I ever encountered a problem with such a bizarre and such a fantastic solution.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure was dramatized from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Dying Detective. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight, with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. This is Joseph Bell, speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time when Dr. Watson will tell us about the strange case of the persecuted millionaire. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
All right, what's your specialty, Chicago?
Chicago piano. The chopper. You know.
Yes, I know. And you, Sight?
I pinpoint him, Miss Roberts, with a rifle. Telescope sight drills him neat like.
Well, so I have a choice of weapons. You boys ever met the Duke?
Never set eyes on him.
Me neither.
Practically perfect. I think we have a good beginning. From here on in, we'll do all right. The plan's good.
You got a finger man for the job? We never seen a Duke. Don't want to take no chances and get the wrong character.
There'll be no finger man.
For what, then?
There'll be a finger woman. Me.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear The Doll, starring Sarah Hayden. Crime Does Not Pay, starring Sarah Hayden as Diane Roberts in The Doll. Somewhere along the line from girlhood to mature womanhood, Diane Roberts took the wrong turning. Somewhere, for some reason which kept close within her, bitterness became her chief emotion. At some moment that bitterness curdled, and Diane shut everything out of her mind and her life except the passion for power. Power she would have, even the power of life and death. Diane reached her goal. The nightclub she controlled with their associated rackets gave her wealth and made her a member of the national combination, the dreaded syndicate, which ruled organized crime. Diane, known as the Doll, was sophisticated, sharp-witted, and dangerous.
So you think you want to work for me?
Yes, Miss Roberts.
Good figure. Attractive face. You certainly don't look hard. Why do you want to work for me?
Well, I want to make some money. I've got to support myself.
A man let you down?
Do I have to answer that?
You have. Who told you to come to me?
I just came.
People don't just come to me. Certainly not people with a corn-fed look on you. Who sent you?
Mr. Arnold.
How did you get to him?
Does that matter, Miss Roberts? I met him. He told me a girl could learn plenty from you, that you knew all the tricks and then some, he said. He told me after I'd been with you for a while, I'd get smart enough to go in business for myself. In some other town.
He lied.
I don't understand.
Look, kid, what duke your Mr. Arnold had in mind to do with you, I don't know. I don't care. But working for me the way he meant would get you nothing. A few dollars, that's all. So be smart. Forget it.
You sound as if you don't like Mr. Arnold. I thought you were associated.
I don't have to like him to split the rackets with him and some other men. If I see him once a year, it's a lot. I don't like his methods, any of them. For instance, I don't like what he forgot to tell you.
Forgot to tell me?
Yes. That nobody goes into any phase of my business, from nightclub camera girls to shaking down exclusive women shops, without an okay from me. And that goes for the whole country.
Then I couldn't have gone into business myself.
Not a chance, kid. Even if you started by lugging a camera in some nightclub. That's for dumb blondes. I don't think you're dumb. I do think Duke had some other ideas, like getting the inside of my operations for his own purposes. Do you take shorthand?
Yes, I do.
Work for $60 a week?
60? When do I start?
That's what I like. Start now. Answer the phone.
Yes, Miss Roberts. Miss Roberts' office.
Is she there? Miss King Porter.
One moment, please. I'll see. It's a Mr. Porter.
The King. Kid, say, what is your name?
Mitzi Allen.
All right, Mitzi. When the King calls, I'm always in. Give me the phone. Hello, King?
Doll, there's a meeting tomorrow night, my apartment.
For everybody?
Everybody except the Duke.
Oh?
He's been getting out of line. You'll get the details tomorrow. Ernie and Pete are flying in. Be there.
Well, so the Duke is going to get his comeuppance. At last.
I want the Duke.
Why, King?
Seems to me he's done pretty well for us.
He's one of us, King. What have you got on him?
You haven't seen the accountant's reports for the first 6 months of this year, have you?
The Duke falling down on the job?
He's getting too good for himself.
You got the sheets, King?
Now, see for yourself, Ernie.
Yeah, I see. Number of jukeboxes up. Take is reported down. Hey, what's this sheet?
It's just a little survey I had made. It's evidence. Pinballs. And slot machines, too. Which rather cuts in on your part of our deal, doesn't it? Getting big for his britches, isn't he?
Has he been making book on the side?
Not yet, but that's in the cards, too, I'd say. Doll?
Yes, Peter?
You've been very quiet.
Why make talk when it's obvious the King is right?
Well, you said it yourself. He's one of us, just under the hood.
And that makes it worse if we can't trust each other. Any sign of the Duke having plans in your direction, Doll?
As a matter of fact, there has been a sign. He sent a girl to me for a job. I have an idea he meant to use her somehow. And she's working for me. but not for him.
You sure?
I'm sure.
All right. Our boy seems to have big ideas. Very big ideas, and I want him taken care of.
Where and when?
Well, he's here in town as quickly as possible. Cowboy job depends.
On what?
On the plans. I think it's best we leave the plans to the party who gets the job.
You know what you want, King. Let's hear it.
All right. Ernie, I want you seen in Las Vegas every night for the next 2 weeks.
That'll be a pleasure.
You lose your shirt on the machine.
Oh, I don't mind giving Pete some loose change.
Where do you want me, King?
Miami Beach. And I'll be in New York. Perfect alibis.
I see. Why me?
Well, now, Doll, I'm sorry, but when you came in with us, it meant that you assumed equal responsibility.
I'm not complaining. Just asking. Why me?
Because you're the one of us who's least known. Because you're the last one that the Duke's mob or the police will tie in with a killing.
Do I get any help?
I can let you have a couple of my boys.
Are they good?
The best. Neat workmen, too, all things considered.
Names?
Chicago Reed and Sites Jackson. When do you want them?
The day you gentlemen arrive at your destinations. That will be...
Day after tomorrow.
I'll be expecting them.
Settled then. Take care of it any way you think best, but do it within 2 weeks. Check?
Check.
I'll be very interested to read about it in the New York papers. Ought to make a big headline. Don't you think?
Come in. Yes, Mitzi?
2 men are outside.
Nice looking?
Not very. They want to see you.
Names?
No. One of them said to tell you they want to give you regards from Mr. Vincent.
Well, right on schedule. Send them in, Mitzi. Stay out yourself. I don't want to be disturbed by anything, except, of course, the king if he calls.
Yes, Miss Roberts. You may come in, gentlemen.
Care to identify yourselves, boys?
I'm Reed. Chicago Reed.
Jackson's the name. Sites Jackson.
Know what you're here for?
A job.
We figured it was important. Pete just said go to the doll. She's the boss on this one.
You care how big the target is?
The bigger they come.
We want the Duke.
Well, I thought it wasn't no small-time gorilla.
Any hesitations?
You want a job? We do it.
All right. What's your specialty, Chicago?
Chicago piano, the chopper. You know.
Yes, I know. And you, Sight?
I pinpoint 'em, Miss Roberts, with a rifle. Telescope sight drills 'em neat like.
Oh, so I have a choice of weapons. You boys ever meet the Duke?
Never set eyes on him.
Me neither.
Practically perfect. I think we have a good beginning. From here on in, we'll do all right if the plan is good.
You got a finger man for the job? We never seen the Duke. Don't want to take no chances and get the wrong character.
There'll be no finger man.
For what, then?
There'll be a finger woman. Me. Mitzi?
Yes, Miss Roberts.
Get me this number. On this phone, not through the switchboard.
Yes. Oh,
something surprised you?
It's Mr. Arnold's number.
This surprises you?
Why should you call him?
Purely a matter of business.
Of course, Miss Roberts.
You recognized his private number.
He gave it to me. Wouldn't let me write it down, made me memorize it.
Apparently he expected you to use it.
I guess so. But since I've been with you, I haven't.
I know that.
Yeah?
Mr. Arnold.
Baby, where you been?
Miss Roberts calling, Mr. Arnold. Here he is, Miss Roberts.
Thank you. Hello, Duke.
The doll. Well. Miracles do happen. Looking for a date, doll?
I want to talk business with you, Duke.
I get it. The king's in the big town, Ernie's in Las Vegas, and Pete's in Miami, or so the papers say. And while the cat's away, the mice can play. Right?
Possibly. When and where can I see you, Duke?
How about my place? Tonight.
You don't waste time, do you?
Not with the girls, doll. How about tonight?
I'll be there.
Miss Roberts, you're going to him? Isn't that like the fly and the spider?
You might put it that way, little one, with a slight twist in reverse. This time, the spider is going to walk into the parlor. The Black Widow spider.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with The Doll. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Sarah Hayden as Diane Roberts in The Doll. The doll made her preparations carefully. There was no actual plan as yet, merely the hazy beginnings of an outline. But Sights drove her car, and Chicago was only half a block behind in another car when she went calling on the Duke. He opened the door for her himself. She walked into his living room, looked around.
You have excellent taste, Duke. I like your place.
Not mine. I pay the best decorator in town to pretty up the joint.
Wonderful what money will do, isn't it? Oh, the chairs not only look well, they sit well.
Drink?
No, thank you.
Cigarette?
Not just now, thank you.
No minor vices?
That sounds as if you expected me to have a few major ones.
Do you?
Well, a smart woman never admits to such things. She expects a man to find out for himself.
This is the first chance to find out anything about you.
Didn't you try? With the Allen girl?
I had some such idea. Mitzi's smarter than I thought.
She's bright.
She's bright enough to know that loyalty pays off in the racket.
To a point.
To a point. You interest me, Diane.
What did you call me?
Diane? Why?
That's the first time in years. Why?
Because for some reason, you're not the doll tonight. You ought to be as hard as the diamonds you're wearing, but you're not.
Mm-hmm. Why did you expect me to be hard?
And the few times I've seen you across the table at our meetings, it was just as if a man was sitting in your place. Tonight, you're all woman.
That'll be enough of that.
Why, Diane? Afraid to be a woman?
I came here to talk business.
Wearing that perfume?
Oh, stop it, Duke. I'm 10 years older.
Not tonight, honey. Tonight, you're Diane, who's surprised at herself and a little afraid of herself.
That's a line, Duke. I'm old enough to know.
Ah, but you love it, don't you?
Duke, how about a deal? You'd like to cut in on my business. I'd like to expand into yours. We might pick up some of Ernie's and Pete's as we go along. We could even get the king out of the way.
You're not making much sense, Diane.
I suppose I'm not. What would Mitzi do in a situation like this?
Mitzi? Well, she'd relax. Wait.
Relax and wait.
Yes. She'd let the moment take care of itself. Period.
I see. Period.
No, my mistake. Not period. Colon. The punctuation mark, which means as follows.
Morning. Diane?
What? Oh, you.
Yeah, me. Again.
What do you want?
I want to see you. Tonight.
No, Duke. Absolutely no.
Tonight.
There's no use, darling.
What did you call me?
Darling. But I didn't mean...
Tonight, Diane.
Tonight. It's taking a little time, King. I've got to soften him up first.
Now, look, doll, it's 3 days past your 2 weeks. I want the Duke. And I want them in 48 hours, you understand?
I may not be able to deliver.
Cut that out. You want me to believe you're making a deal with them?
Oh, you know I'm not.
All right, but I'm beginning to need proof.
Proof from me?
Yes, I want the Duke. 2 days. Now make up your mind, doll. It's him or both of you.
Got it straight, boys?
That's his front window straight across the street.
Right. Now repeat the plan. You tight.
We stay here. You keep your date with the Duke. You get him to the window. When he's standing there, I let him have it with the old 30-30.
That's it.
A cinch.
This is the rifle, Miss Roberts. Ain't it a beaut? Look at the sight. Why, a kid couldn't miss with this. Go ahead. You can touch it if you want to.
Touch it? I couldn't. I'd feel as if my fingers would drop off.
You know, Di, I used to go for all the young babes. I had this place fixed up for that kind, like Mitzi.
And now?
You spoil me, Di. Their kind looks like exactly nothing to me.
I wish you hadn't said that. It's not that, is it?
Well, what's the matter? You sick or something?
No, I'll be all right.
You feel faint? It's awful stuffy in here.
It's all right, I said.
I can open a window anyway.
No, Duke. Leave the window alone.
Di.
I mean, it's not stuffy in here at all. I like it just the way it is.
Now, suit yourself. Hey. Stop pacing like that. Sit down, relax.
And let the moment take care of itself. Right?
Huh?
You said that the first time I came here. Duke, what did you expect that night?
What I'd always seen before. The doll, ready to do business on a big scale. All business. Sharp, dangerous.
Dangerous.
You are. You're dynamite. Die for dynamite. But not in the way I expected. Darling, you sure put me out of circulation. Me, the Duke, who never dated a day more than twice.
Stop it, Duke. I can't stand it.
Oh, what is this? Conscience?
There's nothing on my conscience. I don't believe I have one. I killed it long ago when you were in knee pants.
If this isn't the silliest conversation... Listen. Come here, sweet. We got better things to do than
No,
talk.
don't.
Oh, what are you, hysterical? Let me get to that window.
Get away from it. Yes.
I want to open it.
No, Duke. It's cold. I want to stay warm.
Excuse me a moment, Di. Yes?
Mr. Arnold, is Miss Roberts there?
Hold the phone. For you, Di. The Allen girl. But don't you want to answer?
All right. Yes, Mitzi?
Miss Roberts, it's the King on the other phone. He wants to know if...
Duke! Get away from the window! Mitzi, tell the King what he called about it. Just been taken care of.
Let's see him, Chicago.
Full house. Any arguments?
No arguments. Another hand, Miss Roberts?
No, thanks. Poker's dull tonight, Sykes.
Yeah, it always is after a job.
Did you look at him, Miss Roberts? Was it a neat job?
Practically perfect.
It's a swell club you got here, Miss Roberts. It's real class.
Best thing about it, now the doorman and the head waiter. They'll swear on a stack of Bibles we've been playing poker here all night.
You think of everything, Miss Roberts.
You sure do.
Do I? How about a little excitement, a real game?
Give me a chance to win back what Chicago took from me.
Not tonight. I'm hot tonight.
No. A different game. Look.
Hey, that's no lady's gun.
Police positive. 38 special.
My own. The King gave it to me when I joined the National Combination. You boys game? For Russian roulette?
I don't like to play with guns.
One chamber is loaded. You know the game. Spin the cylinder, hold the muzzle to your head, pull the trigger. 5 chances to 1, you'll live.
Well,
Afraid to take a dare?
Oh, me? Give me that gun.
No, sir.
Shut up. Here goes nothing.
He got it. He got it.
Like he gave it to Duke. In the head. You next try?
I ain't so sure only one chamber was loaded. I want to see that gun.
See it, Chai. Look down its muzzle. Look carefully. You were right. All 6 chambers were loaded.
You're nuts. You're a crazy, nutsy Dave.
You're crawling, Chicago. You're so scared of dying, you're crawling. Both of them. Okay, Duke. Now myself. You're a fool. That's not the way. It leaves the king and the other 2 behind.
Miss Roberts, you coming here?
I've got to use the phone, Mary.
The phone in here?
I don't have a phone in my office here. When I come here, I don't want to be disturbed. Give me a nickel, Mary.
Yes, Miss Roberts. The phone's right there.
No booth here. No privacy for the girls, is there?
Can I get you something?
Not now.
Police department.
Give me homicide, quickly.
Yes, ma'am. Homicide. Sergeant Gordon.
Sergeant, this is Diane Roberts.
Now, what's your trouble, miss?
I've just killed 2 men, and the 3rd is dead because of me.
Say, who are you, the doll?
Yes, I am.
What is this, a gag?
Come over here, Sergeant. The Whistle Club, you know where it is. Come over here quickly before I lose control of myself. You can have me in the combination King Porter, Ernie Blackfeet, and for all of us. We'll go together. You can't have the Duke. He's gone away. He's gone. I fingered him myself. Tonight.
Crime does not pay. Sarah Hayden, who starred as Diane Roberts in The Doll, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Sarah Hayden.
Diane Roberts bore a grudge against the world. She chose the way of violence and crime to work out that grudge. And like most people of this type, she came to the point where she found the violence had turned upon herself. That her way of life was unbearable. That nothing was left to look forward to except the end. Diane Roberts learned too late, as most men and women of her ilk always learn too late, that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Hayden. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark D. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you have just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.